Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon. Sorry, we are slightly late kidogo, but tuko sasa ange. Asante sana for being part of this great show that we are having here at Afric 24. Welcome to this show. Let me know where this is finding you. Karibu sana wewe mbaye umekuja kupenda hii show. I see many tayari wamejaja. Thank you very much for doing that. Equally, thank you so much for joining in this wonderful conversation that we are having just about now. All right. Hope you are well. My day was fantastic. I hope yours as well was quite as interesting as mine was. All right. We are about to have an interesting conversation. This is a show that you have come to love, a show you have come to tune in inapofika hii masaa, na ndio maana tumeanza regardless ya kuchelewa kiasi, lakini tuko rada, tuko ndani, tumejaja. Karibu tu sana. I am your host Jax, the moderator. This is your show, and of course, as usual, this is your host. Karibu sana. All right, let me know where you are finding this show from. Unanitazama ukiwa maeneo gani? Watu wa Kampala, karibuni. Watu wa Uganda, karibuni. Watu wa Dar es Salaam, karibuni. Watu wa Tanzania, karibuni. Wasee wa Rwanda, vipi? Mko ndani? Karibuni tu sana. Wasee wa Mali, wasee wa Zambia, wasee wa Guinea Bissau karibuni. Wasee wa Somalia, mko vipi? Welcome to this awesome conversation we are having now. All right, I don't know where you are finding this show from, but I'm sure it's finding you quite okay and quite all right. Anyone tuning in, karibuni sana. Those watching us in any platform, welcome to this show. Whether you're tuning in from Tembei TV, Africa 24, Kenya News Digital, karibuni tu sana. Welcome, 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 welcome. We have a great one lined up for you. We are looking at the enemy within and without, all right? The enemy within and without. There is a man who has had some fallouts with close friends of Kenya over the days. We have had some people who have lost close relationship that we always used to enjoy. We had a close relationship with Uganda, had a close relationship with Tanzania, had a close relationship with, of course, TZD, that is Tanzania, which I've said, Rwanda, which I've said, Uganda, which I've said. But you can imagine sasa tumeanza kuwa na challenge hadi na Somalia. The only two countries that we were able to see that William Ruto has failed, or rather has not rubbed bad shoulders with, is who? Your guess is as good as mine. Is South Sudan peke yake na Ethiopia. And maybe ni time to soon tutawarab, tutawarab tu vibaya tu sana. So I have a great one. In about few minutes, we will be discussing why is William Ruto having enemies all over. Why the enmity? Why the fallout? Why this challenge is piling day after the other? Kuna siku walimiss our function, and many said, ni juu hawako wamealikwa, but kumbe there is more than what meets the eye. So what are we looking at today? We are looking at the enemy within and without. William Ruto seems to be the enemy within our country, within our borders, and of course without our borders, away from home. He is making enemies. Of course, from your lovely thumbnail, you can see CJ Martha Comey has had some latest rivalry between her and the president. Of course, Raila Odinga himself. Their war is not yet far from over. The Somalia president is there. We equally see the Rwanda president is there. Tanzanian president is there. Of course, as well, Ugandan's president is there. You remember just a few weeks ago, or rather, towards the end of last year, which is 2 weeks ago, Uganda took us to court. They sued us. They sued Kenya. All right. We were taken to the East African court because of the oil deal gone wrong. All right. Because Uganda felt aggrieved. So that's what we'll be looking at. This and many more are the reasons we have this show. All right. Of course, it is informed by equally what made today's headlines in our newspapers, yeah, because we are looking at why the fallout, why the constant fallouts in our country and also away from home. All right, because William Ruto seems to be making enemies, seems to be making more enemies than more friends. His leadership is rubbing many in a wrong way. All right. Of course, the dailies had that for you well covered, and that's what we will be looking at even as we progress with this show. Why the fallout? Why this constant betrayal, both at home and away from home? All right. We have seen Justice Martha Koome having to come out to defend the judiciary. We have seen many trying to defend themselves away from the attacks, the constant attacks and ridicule from William Ruto and co. All right, but where nakwambia things are getting thicker, things are getting interesting. But zaidi ya yote tunayo show moja kali, show moja fiti, and as usual, I'm ready to give you one fine, interesting show. So sit back, relax, enjoy. Let us have a great discussion, and we will enjoy this wonderful debate we are having just about now. All right. As usual, I'm your host, Jakes, the moderator, and this show has been made possible courtesy of you tuning in. All right. It is you who makes this show be what it is. Pole tumechelewa, as I've just told you, but tuko sasa rada, tuko fine. All right. I'll be looking at other news making headlines, but what we are looking at this hour is our sorry relationship that is now becoming warring with other countries and also with our friends and partners here in Kenya. All right. Just the other day, Tanzania flight and Kenya Airways walikuwa na kamzozano kiasi, and because of that we lost some good minutes or so before the issue was resolved. All right. So that's what we'll be looking at. Of course, we'll be looking at the newspapers, we'll be looking at other news that made headlines tonight, including the war that happened in Busia. Why are the fracases happening in Raila's meeting? It happened in Busia. Many said it's because of Otuoma, but where leo ilikuwa wakasema ni kwa sababu ya Fort Kenya. Why are we having all these fights? So we'll be looking at even that as we continue. But equally, I'm joined in by my good friend and brother, Bwana Alex Media, and as well, let me show you how to join in this conversation. Yeah, kupitia link ambayo nakutumia sasa hivi. Alright, hiyo link inakuja hapo kwa comment section, itakuwa hapo, itakutuma moja kwa moja hadi StreamYard. Ukifika StreamYard unafanya nini? Asha kamera, asha mic, alafu unajikuta uko ndani ya show. Alright, so do that. Let's have an awesome, amazing show even as we go on. Alright, okay. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being part of this great conversation we are about to have. Okay, so we begin by looking at what many have asked. Why is William Ruto making enemies all over? There seems to be a fallout in our country and away from our country. He began uh, with a fight with Uhuru Kenyatta. That was what defined his tenure as the deputy president. Then went on to fight the media, then went on to fight other other parastatals, other, what do we call it, other organs of the government, including the judiciary. Nowadays, that is what he's fighting. But is he a man who constantly create unnecessary rivalry? Is he a man who constantly create unnecessary tug of war between him and those who seemingly oppose him? All right, so that's what we'll be looking at. I'm sure it's not really a popular discussion, but it's what we need to look at, because I can guarantee it, these will equally be forming some headlines very, very soon. Why is he rubbing people wrongly? All right, okay, awesome. Sawa sawa. Bwana Alex, hope you're well.
Yeah, I'm good, and I thank God I'm very okay.
Ah, fantastic. Karibu sana kwa hii show.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now let's begin. We have a president who seems to be rubbing people wrongly, uh, right from his CSS to himself. We are having challenges with other countries because of people who come visiting us, who have rivals, who are at war with their countries, and him as well, entertaining some people that equally have made Kenya be in bad standings with other countries that we were with good standings before. What do you describe this in a president? Why is he making more enemies than friends?
If you look at the history of Ruto,
Aha,
how he came into politics,
aha,
uh, uh, you remember he slapped Chesire.
yes, yes.
Yeah, the old man Chesire.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how he started his politics.
Aha,
So he started his politics with violence.
aha,
By the time he was made a minister for interior,
uh-huh,
assistant minister for interior,
uh-huh,
his arrogance swelled
aha,
and he became draconian,
aha,
and he started showing signs of dictatorship.
mm-hmm.
And Ruto is a man who doesn't. He will want you to listen to him, but
Aha,
he won't listen to you.
aha,
So he has, I think, a psychological problem
uh-huh,
that affects the way he leads.
mm-hmm.
I don't know how he got to national leadership,
Aha,
but however, uh, w- the other day he wanted to go to Tanzania. He was blocked. Did you see
ah,
that?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So you ask yourself, why will Madam Suluhu block him?
uh-huh,
Why is Museveni not allowing him to go to Uganda anymore?
uh-huh,
It's because, first of all, he doesn't keep promises. Secondly,
uh-huh,
he's a liar. Thirdly, he's very arrogant. So these
uh-huh,
leaders that supported him, like Museveni, thought that Raila was bad. Now we have gotten a partner that we can work. So when it came
uh-huh,
to the the oil deal with that Uganda, he failed
uh-huh,
to deliver. He took the amount,
aha,
failed to
uh-huh,
deliver, and
uh-huh,
so, so you can see a man again who does not deliver his promises. So
aha,
there is there is a catalog of there is a catalog of list that if
aha,
that describing who Ruto is and why he doesn't get along with people,
all
uh,
right,
you will realize that he he's a man who, when he wants something,
aha,
he must get it. If he
uh-huh,
doesn't get it,
uh-huh,
either if he has, if there is a way he can revenge or he can
uh-huh,
get it by force,
uh-huh,
uh, he will do that. Like the way he took takes
aha,
land by force. He sends
uh-huh,
he sends somebody. He tells somebody, get out of your land.
uh-huh,
So that is the kind of the president we have. A man, when he
aha,
wants something, he will either use force,
mm,
he will either kill you, or
aha,
he will call you uh, corrupt. He
mm-hmm,
uses the corrupt tag to scare
uh-huh,
people. Yes.
aha. So when you look at at this rift that is now brewing slowly but sure, Uganda took us to court, all right? Just the other day, Uganda took us to court because of the oil deal. Tanzania had given a no landing notice against our flight, that is Kenya Airways. Now here is a situation, as much as that was resolved, here is a situation brewing that our neighbors are not finding peace with us. Why is that so? Given that we have had a long relationship, good working relationship with these countries before.
How bad is their pain right now?
I didn't. I think my volume went down a little bit.
All right.
Like, can you re-ask the question,
I'm
please?
asking, we have seen trouble with countries that we had good relationship with. Tanzania the other day gave us a no landing uh, directory against KQ. Of course, that was revoked after Musalia tried to negotiate some positive deal, I think, together with Kipchumba Murkomen. And equally, we saw what do we call this? We saw Uganda take us to court. These are countries that Kenya was very close buddies with. These are countries that refused to attend our Jamhuri Day celebration. And when the president was asked why didn't they attend, they said they were not invited. But could there be a challenge happening that no one is talking about?
You know, during the inauguration,
Uh-huh.
people feared Raila, that Raila is going to be so powerful in East Africa.
Uh-huh.
And,
Uh-huh.
and Raila could form East Africa to be one
Mm.
country and he will become the president. So
Uh-huh.
all these people rejected him. So when
Uh-huh.
Ruto became the president, you saw how they
Mm-hmm.
came, especially Museveni. Museveni came with a military truck,
Uh-huh.
which I didn't understand why. So
Mm-hmm.
the trust that they had in this guy,
Uh-huh.
uh, because nani alikuwa Uhuru alisema afadhali
Uh-huh.
mzee kuliko
Uh-huh.
mtu
Uh-huh.
wa maneno matamu matamu matamu
Mm-hmm.
matamu.
Mm-hmm.
So
Uh-huh.
Uhuru had already known this man.
Uh-huh.
So so these presidents did not know the character of Ruto.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, you know, you know, Uhuru, Uhuru legacy is not his legacy.
Mm-hmm.
He chose technocrats,
Mm-hmm.
people who could deliver.
Yeah, yeah.
You look somebody like Matiangi and the rest of the group
Mm-hmm.
on how they worked together to make sure education
Mm-hmm.
is well, healthcare is well,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Uh-huh.
roads
Mm-hmm.
are being built,
Uh-huh.
you know, land that was grabbed was being brought back to the government.
Uh-huh.
They were doing things in the right way that you could not criticize them.
Mm-hmm.
These were men and women who
Uh-huh.
were technocrats. They were not politicians, and
Uh-huh.
you could not see them unless the Kwamatanga of a prominent person. But otherwise, you saw Batiani every day working. But
Uh-huh.
Ruto, people that have surrounded Ruto, like
Mm-hmm.
Chiriti,
Mm-hmm.
Murkomen,
Mm-hmm.
and others, are
Uh-huh.
not people who are competent. Imagine,
Uh-huh.
imagine within UDA, there is a man called
Uh-huh.
Chergan who has said
Uh-huh.
that Murkomen is incompetent,
Uh-huh.
and he has given evidence to a point that
Uh-huh.
when Murkomen went to the Senate uh, to be grilled,
Mm-hmm.
they sent away Cheregai because
Mm-hmm.
Cheregai could have asked Murkomen tough questions, and those
Mm-hmm.
tough questions were not geared towards Murkomen; they were geared
Mm-hmm.
towards Ruto.
All right.
So within UDA,
Mm-hmm.
there's disagreement.
Uh-huh.
You see, Boni Aluale has been criticizing the housing levy
Uh-huh.
openly
Uh-huh.
and saying, President, don't do that. Okay?
Uh-huh.
And that is his
Uh-huh.
chief. Is he a chief whip in the Senate?
Mm-hmm.
So so Ruto himself is incompetent
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't drink.
Mm-hmm.
Uhuru used to drink and he was very effective. His
Now,
speeches, his
uh-huh,
speeches, his speeches were nationalistic,
uh-huh,
and at some point, he became a national leader.
all right.
Wherever he went, people loved him. Now Ruto
Mm-hmm,
goes to Kitale today, he's big
uh-huh,
heckle. Everywhere
uh-huh,
he goes, he's big
uh-huh,
heckle.
mm-hmm,
You wonder why.
mm-hmm,
It shows you a man that people have realized that is funny
uh-huh.
and audacious. Yes.
And and I remember vividly how he would play victim, and that's how he got to power by saying, "Oh, I'm being targeted. Oh, my children are in danger. Oh, my wife, all that." You remember how one time he told Uhuru Kenyatta, "Please don't you do everything, but don't touch my children." You remember how he would attack everyone, saying, "Oh, how media was biased." You remember how he would describe how he's being victimized. He made everyone seem as though he was the one being targeted. Bakumbe, after him clinching the seat, how comes he has not made more friends? He has only increased those people who feel um, he's not really the person they thought he was.
Kibagandi the other day said, and I laughed.
Uh-huh,
Kibagandi is my personal friend. He said,
uh-huh,
when we worked with this guy, when we formed UDA,
uh-huh,
he lied to us that we are going to make Kenya better.
uh-huh,
And now I worked with him. I thought
uh-huh.
he was a good man. He
Mm-hmm.
pretended so that he could become a president. So
Uh-huh,
we supported him. We
uh-huh.
became friends. We became friends with him. But
Mm-hmm.
after he has taken power, we are wondering, is this the same man that we wanted to campaign for? Then he
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm glad I moved out of UDA to ODM because
Uh-huh.
in ODM, there is honesty. Baba does not
Mm-hmm.
lie.
Uh-huh.
Baba
All
has
right.
decorum.
Uh-huh.
Baba has respect for everybody. And
Uh-huh.
if you have an issue and you want an appointment with Baba, Baba will give you. Ruto does
All
not
right.
respect his leaders.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
All right. Now, and it is not just Ruto, even his CSs. We have seen them rubbing other countries wrongly. I'll be reading what many have done, but just recently, Murkomen described Rwanda's president as autocratic, and he really described him in a way that we had to have someone apologize on his behalf to the great people of Rwanda. We saw the other day CS Mutua issue a statement that Canada was very quick to oppose. We have been seeing all this, and it seems as though it's the trajectory that we should be looking at, where if we are not careful, we might be isolated, because how we speak about our neighbors, how we relate with them, and eventually might be isolated. What do you think, and what do you make of even his team, that they have a way of equally destroying the relationships that we have with other countries?
You know, when uh, when a minister calls
Uh-huh.
another president
Uh-huh.
autocratic, and he knows
Uh-huh.
that we have a relationship that is
Mm-hmm.
binding with Rwanda, because
Uh-huh.
most of our teachers have
Mm-hmm.
gone to Rwanda. Most of people who do IT have gone to Rwanda.
Mm-hmm.
You wonder,
Mm-hmm.
there was a time Ruto did something wrong when they were with Uhuru,
Uh-huh.
and
Mm-hmm.
and they were warned by
Mm-hmm.
United Arabs,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and they wanted to chase all Kenyans from there.
Mm-hmm.
within 24 hours.
Uh-huh.
Now, you see, when these ministers misbehave like this, it shows that, in short, let me tell you,
Mm-hmm.
when colleges rule, they rule autocratically.
Uh-huh.
They have that mentality of Koitalel, or the war mentality
Mm-hmm.
in their mind. They are
Mm-hmm.
not like Kikuyus when they lead, even though they are corrupt, they humble themselves. Look, people like
Uh-huh.
Muramura. The only uh, the Kikuyus that Ruto has taken this time, they are very arrogant.
Uh-huh.
You see, so
Mm-hmm.
he has taught his cabinet and the people that are close to him to be very
Uh-huh.
arrogant wherever he goes. And he
Mm-hmm.
does not condemn them when they make those mistakes. He-
Uh-huh.
I think there's something uh, after Madam Suluhu said,
Mm-hmm.
kuna jirani wetu hawana hata pesa ya kununua mafuta. There is
Uh-huh.
one minister who 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 openly abused Madam Suluhu. Madam
Uh-huh.
Suluhu akafanya nini?
Uh-huh.
Akaignore. And the
Uh-huh.
other day, and the other day, when Suluhu gave a speech that the economy
Uh-huh.
has expanded and is doing so well, again, another minister uh, rebutted with an
Uh-huh.
abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Ruto does not call these people and discipline them.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because that is character. He doesn't he
Mm-hmm.
see it is wrong.
Uh-huh.
So that's the kind of man he is.
Of course, today we looked at this, but I want to still read. In the Standard, this is how it wrote. This was today's newspaper. Of course, catch this show and every other morning here at Afrique 24, where we look and dive into the
Yeah,
newspapers
yeah.
and our daily. So today, this is what we looked at. We looked at the many battles Ruto is facing. Now, top on the list, they covered Abdel Fattah, of course, yeah, where he said that Fatah is from Sudan, is Sudanese, that in April last year, efforts by Dr. William Ruto to lead the Sudanese peace efforts were thwarted after Sudanese armed forces and Abel Fattah, one of the warring faction, questioned his what do you call it, neutrality on the matter. And Brahman said that Ruto was an old friend of his rival, Mohammed Dagolo, and of course, former deputy and now leader of the rebel group. So Dagalo was or is a friend of Ruto, and of course, Fatah felt that Ruto cannot be neutral. And you remember them saying, "We cannot allow Kenya," of course, through William Ruto, to lead the peaceful negotiations. So already Sudanese felt that hey, Ruto is not the man to lead the peace talk. Days ago, I think we saw Dagalo come to our country, and that equally still increased the bad blood. There is this other story about Felix Shikedi, where DRC president, of course, felt so bad when a statement was issued by their opponents in Nairobi. You remember that story where even some people had to disassociate with those sentiments. Of course, Kenya had to come out and defend herself. But this is a situation that is coming on to be like the trend of William Ruto losing close friends that we have ever had here at home and, of course, away from home. Is he a man who does not know how to nurture friendship? Alex? Alex, are you there? All right.
No,
So,
I don't know. My voice keep on when I'm listening, it keeps on cutting. So I don't know. I didn't hear again your question.
I'm asking, why is William Ruto unable to keep friendship? Because some of the countries we are now not in good terms with are countries that over the decades have been close friends to Kenya. And this is a situation that now it's becoming unbecoming. If you have over 4 or 5 people who seem not to agree with you, or rather seem not to like what you're doing, I don't think all the 5, 6, 7 people could have the problem. The problem probably could be you. What do you think?
No, if you are a person who is dishonest,
Uh-huh.
who is a liar, who
Uh-huh.
who is mendacious,
Uh-huh.
who is phony,
Uh-huh.
over time, when you realize these people, first of all, defraud you,
Uh-huh.
they are fraudsters.
Uh-huh.
So what happens is, uh, once you see somebody like that, you protect yourself by telling them, stay away from me.
Uh-huh.
So he is unable to keep friendship because he lies openly. You see, he
Mm-hmm.
say he says by January we are going to have
Uh-huh.
free visas. I don't know if it has started rolling. Has it?
It started somehow. Others are even complaining it's more expensive than the actual visa. I'll be reading an article from a Tanzanian newspaper, and equally a footage from a different country. I think it was BBC that covered that, because they're saying it's now more expensive than the actual visa. So they're even actually saying they would rather have the visa than the free entry, but we'll be looking at that in a while. But I see a good friend of mine, Kenya Rebel, is in the house.
So
I
so
owe
the
him
other
two
thing,
minutes to rebut. But before I do that, Kenya, Alex, you seem to have something else to say.
yeah, you see, Atuoli, was it yesterday, openly said,
Ah,
Bwana President, there's so much corruption in the airport. If if you have a phone, you are being taxed. If you have two phones, either they will take it or you have to pay the price you bought that phone. And that's it.
mhm,
And
aha,
he said the foreigners are being harassed in the airport.
mhm.
That's that's Atwoli who said that.
Yeah, yeah.
My friends who have gone to, there is a lady friend who went to Kenya. She had an iPhone.
Aha,
She was told to pay $200
aha,
before she gets out. She tried to refuse. She was kept
mhm,
there for 3 hours. She decided to do what? To pay the $200. You see,
mhm,
Murkomen is he has ministers who are very incompetent
aha,
and very corrupt.
aha,
You see what the guy has been saying
aha.
about the 100 million bribe that he got from China,
Yeah, yeah.
and what he's going to look for China is contractors to build a road, no, to renovate the airport and and the leaking roof.
Uh-huh.
Do, do you think Kenyans cannot fix a leaking roof?
Uh-huh.
So that's the kind of people that surround Ruto. People who
Okay.
cannot give him wisdom so that he is able to govern this country very well.
Mm-hmm. I want to bring in Bwana Kenya Rebel as well. I'm sure he'll have a different approach. But equally, thank you so much, those tuning in and joining in, as well as finding the show through our various platforms, and equally subscribing to Afric 24. We are so grateful that you are doing so. Asante sana pia wale ambao wana comment, naona kina Goodyear wamejaja. Asante tu sana. Kenya Lee, how are you?
I'm fine, Jakes. Niambie. Mambo namna gani?
Fantastic. Niko mzima kabisa. Now we are relooking at a topic we began in the morning. This is part two of it. We are asking ourselves, why is Ruto making enemies with everyone? Of course, the one that is recent is the one that is having with the courts. But this is something that is not only in Kenya but has been both home and away. We have had presidents issuing statements, issuing what do you call it? Some sentiments because they feel aggrieved by either Ruto's conduct, his CS conduct, what they said, the statement they issued. And of course, it's not rubbing or sitting well with our neighbors. And of course, the dailies today, both Standard and Daily Nation, really focused on that. And that's what we felt that let's try to really polish on that and equally see what could be causing all this drift from our long-term friends. These are friends, these are countries that we have been close partnership with. You have Uganda taking us to court. You have Tanzania giving a gag order, or rather a non-stop or landing um, restriction to Kenya Airways. You have had CSS issuing very funny statements against some countries, including Rwanda. You have had enemies of their countries, of different countries, landing in Kenya, creating a stiff with their home countries. Like Sudan, like what happened with Sudan, like what happened the other day with Felix, where he felt that a statement was issued in Nairobi, and it's a statement that he didn't like. All right. So, what do you make of this unbecoming fallout between our country, Kenya, and our neighbors, and of course, also within? What do you make of this? How do you feel William Ruto is headed in as much as our country and other countries' relationship is involved or concerned?
Uh, okay, can you hear me, Jakes?
Yes, I can hear you.
Uh, I read Musalia Mudavadi's tweets earlier today or yesterday, and you mentioned that whole Kenya Airways and Tanzania Airlines have been ironed out, so problem solved. But it's not uncommon for two countries to have diplomatic problems, especially neighboring
Uh-huh.
countries.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not worried about Kenya's position uh, uh, with his neighbors.
Uh-huh.
This is common. But I just wanted to go
Uh-huh.
back to what Alex. I think Alex is like a Azimio propagandist, and is doing a terrible job at that. You can't come here and
Uh-huh.
tell us that Uhuru was nationalistic, and even though he was a drunk, he was bringing people together. Who are you fooling? Unless you lived in another Kenya when Uhuru was the president. Uh,
Uh-huh.
this is the kind. This is the kind of take that we have to be honest with ourselves. If we want to move
Mhm.
forward as Kenyans, you can't
Mhm.
say that Uhuru was much better than Ruto. They are both suffering from the same things. The things that Ruto is
Mhm.
doing right now, whether it's the fight with the judiciary, wanting to meet the judiciary, corruption, these are the same problems. If anything, they were worse under Uhuru Kenyatta. Then you have
Mhm.
someone here who wants to revise history by telling us that Uhuru was such a great leader. You know, people like Alex should not be let speak in public places. We should shun them and shame them for their hypocrisy. What I'm saying is this: again, regardless of what Ruto is going through as a president, whether he's lying, whether he's diplomatic jabs with other countries, what Morkomen said about Rwanda is not a lie. Nani is a despot. What is there? This Rwandese president is a dictator. It's not a secret. So saying it is not a problem. We should say it as loud as possible. Okay, and even Ruto should say it. Okay, we shouldn't be scared of him. Who is Kagame? You know. But anyway, so to me, I always say this, Jakes. Ruto's presidency is an extension of Uhuru Kenyatta's presidency. There's nothing wrong. We can argue about who was worse. Still, in my argument, 10 years of Uhuru Kenyatta still does not defeat Ruto. Ruto is working hard to meet up with his mess up, but still, Nani was the devil himself, Kenyatta.
All right. When you look at some of the countries that have come out to really complain of their relationship, Uganda equally has made the list. And when it was the DP, many would say that Museveni was his close friend, but this is now a relationship that seems to have gone sour. What do you make of it as well?
Museveni is a senile old man that needs to hurry up and die.
Really?
Yes, really. The atrocities that this man has caused especially killing the Acholi people of Uganda. Do your history. Museveni is not a nice man. He's not a nice man. Yes, he took out Idi Amin, but he's not a nice man by any means. Do your history. He's a nasty, nasty man. And actually, he played a role in taking out on Gaddafi actually coming down. He always wanted the Neo after Gaddafi. So I don't feel sorry for Museveni. And actually, Museveni was assisting Mungiki during when people were being killed in Kisumu. He was helping Mungiki, the forces with under Uhuru, to kill Luos in Busia, in Kisumu. So yeah, like I say, Museveni should hurry up and die.
Well, I think you're not equally doing a good job as a panelist here, and because we never advocate for anyone's death, whether good or bad. That's not our role, even as a media fraternity, all right? And well, sour. His sentiments as are his. We wish everyone long life and prosperity. Well, sawa, ito Kenya rebel. Now, what does it mean that Suluhu has taken several swipes against Kenya? You seem to you have no one you're looking at. There's no one you seem to look in a way that may be defined as you are either objective or not so narrow-minded in how you are describing them. But how now would you describe Suluhu? What would be the fault of Suluhu then?
Because walikuwa wamepea dozi ya
Go ahead.
Suluhu is a Western puppet. She was the vice president of Magufuli. Magufuli stood for something and what actually was bringing change. But we all know he was taken out for his stand against the, you know what, I don't want to say it because, you know, ile dawa walikuwa nadunga watu. So he was taken out. Okay, Suluhu came in and, you know, he started jailing people who were speaking against her presidency. Remember, there was a guy who was mentioning the controversy about the ports in Tanzania, that the ports in Tanzania has been taken over. It's been controlled by the United Arab Emirates or something like that. So he started jailing people. So Suluhu is also a Western puppet, just like Ruto. I don't think much of her. I don't think she's a strong leader. She's a follower. She's not, from where I stand, I don't think she's someone who can bring meaningful change. The changes that you see, those are things that Magufuli actually put the foundations on them, that she's following up. But she has started destroying democracy in Tanzania. So to me, Suluhu, I'm not a fan of her.
Uh-huh. Uh, Bwana Alex, let me come to you. The president was having a close relationship between himself and the Ugandan president, but that seems to have gone south. When he was the DP, he would go to Uganda one too many times until one time he was stopped at the airport. You remember how that time many said that Matiangi did wrong for denying him the ability to leave the country and head to Uganda. You remember all that, where others left, but him, the deputy president, was denied that time an opportunity to leave the country. Now he's now the president. No one can deny him anything. If anything, he is the one to say what happens. But I'll still ask you that question even as Alex is coming back. Why is it that now, when he's the president, instead of increasing his friends, he seems to even lose those who are close to him? Bwana Kenya Rebel.
You know, sometimes you can lose friends because of the things you're doing, maybe because of your principles or because of your actions or what you're trying to achieve in goals. Let's
All
say,
right.
let's say right now, Jakes, if you're planning on becoming a, a professor, you know, that means you'll have to do a lot of spend a lot of time reading, and you'll have less
Mm-hmm.
time hosting this show. So when I
Mm-hmm.
call you and tell you, Jakes,
Mm-hmm.
can you please come to the show so we can argue? You will, you will tell me, no, you can't. And we can just naturally part ways based on your goals and my goals. So
Mm-hmm.
it happens. There's nothing wrong. But as I say,
Mm-hmm.
uh, losing Museveni as a friend is not a bad thing. This guy was sending his Ugandan armies to kill people in Migingo Island, killing those fishermen, Kenyan fishermen. He
Mm-hmm.
was throwing them and shooting them, arresting them. So Ruto should not feel bad for losing his. And you remember his son, that spoiled brat, who was talking about he will take over Kenya, Nairobi in 24 hours if he had his way. So
Mm-hmm.
no, in fact, we should celebrate that our president is not friends with that murderous dictator.
All right. I don't think we should, but anyway, that's your opinion, as I just said right now. I want to look at what the dailies had said. We saw that in Sudan the other day, Khartoum recalled its ambassador to Kenya in protest at the official reception given to Mohamed Dagalo, the commander of the paramilitary rapid support force, who has been at war with the regular army led by Abdel Fattah. Now, why would Ruto entertain two rival factions and then just host one of them, and he knows that that will bring a rift in the other country?
I don't think if he when he hosted that person, whatever the whoever he met from Sudan, he thought it will cause any chaos, any rift. Kenya has always, I think, was it Ruto who they rejected from being the peace something that there's a position that they wanted to vote him, but they did not vote for him. One of these positions they give you, is it AU or something, where you fly around the nations and make peace or whatever the case is.
Uh,
Because Kenya historically has always, the presidents have always been uh, a factor when it comes to peacemaking between two factions in Sudan. So
mhm,
maybe the other faction felt that since Ruto met that president, whatever, for whatever reason Ruto met him, I don't know the details, inner details. They feel like Ruto is not, advocating for their side. So, but all in all, I don't think Ruto should not. Let me just say this: the president of Kenya should not turn down anyone just because you know uh, that person has a problem in their own country. That's their issue. Okay, if the other side wants to uh, use Ruto to help bring peace, then they should reach out to Ruto. But it's not up to Ruto to actually, that's not Ruto's fault. I don't see how that is Ruto's fault. Whatever is happening over there, he just hosted somebody in their country. So I don't
yeah,
know.
it's not his fault, but it led to them recalling, or rather, it led to them recalling the ambassadors. That means that they are not even interested in having someone represent them in our country. And that's not just Sudan, for your info. There is also DRC Congo that was miffed by the activities of an opposition figure in Nairobi. And you remember, uh, they had to recall the ambassador to Kenya, of course, Kenya's foreign affairs ministry, because they felt they had a strong disassociation because of how Kenya allowed the opposition or some people from the opposition to issue a statement while in Nairobi. So even up, what do you even describe that okay, you would defend the Sudan? What would you say about Congo now?
But again, Jakes, the president of Congo, I well, he's the one who just got re-elected, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you watch the re-election process? I mean, it was a travesty. Uh, the man is not popular. So again, there's some friendship when you lose. It's not a loss, okay? Because the president does not have credibility in Congo itself, only a section of Congo. So if they decide they want to recall their ambassador, well and good, take them back, because you don't even have credibility in your own country. It's like Uhuru in 2017 recalling a ambassador of somewhere. They won't care because they know Uhuru has no legitimacy even at home. So it's not a big deal. Do that. So I don't see it as a problem for whatever. All you have to do, Jakes, just get into your internet and see the re-election of that president. I forgot his name. I mean, everyone knows he did not win. It was ridiculous.
All right. Now, you now make me do what I don't like doing. I want to put you on the spot. Now,
Put me.
according to you, who should we now attract? Now that you seem to have no problem us losing, so who should we attract then? Because we cannot live like an island. We cannot isolate ourselves. Yeah, because if you speak that, hey, no problem, losing Flani, let them go. Hey, and you forget these are people who we do business with, the first country that is the leading exporter, or rather the country that we export most to is Uganda. It's top on the list. Of course, DRC is there, Tanzania is there. So you have no problem us losing them. So who do you want us to gain?
Uh, I look at it like this, Jakes. Uganda, Congo, and even Sudan. They're not the only country that we can do business with. Okay, there's plenty of countries that we can do business with. Okay,
Like which countries, for instance?
Uh, name it. We can do business with Egypt. We can do business with Zambia, South Africa. Name it. All the countries that you can think of. Uh, the point I'm trying to make is this, Jakes, is that again, starting from what I said, you know, sometimes we can have diplomatic tension between nations for whatever reasons. Okay, some can be amended, some can be ironed out, some are can take years to undo. Okay, now if Suluhu, like whatever, let me just use that Suluhu or yeah, Suluhu, like the issue with the Kenya Airways or whatever the case is. All right. I don't know what started the whole thing, whether it was Ruto or Suluhu parts, or whether somebody says something, whatever. But you saw within what 48 hours it was dealt with. Coming back to Congo, you said they are the number one whatever that we have relationship with, we export our stuff with or import, whatever the case is. Congo, that president has no control of the whole of Congo. Okay, Mr. What's his name? The Rwandese president is using his M23. Is that what they call him? M23, whatever. He has a section of Congo that he controls, that he uses to export gold from Congo to Rwanda, which is driving Rwanda's economy. Okay, We have the Chinese-backed leaders, warlords. How do you think Wakina Musalia Mudavadi, Raila Odinga, and Kenyatta were sending those gold to United Arab Emirates through Congo, through Kenya to there? Okay, so what I'm trying to say is this: somebody like the president of Congo has no control of the whole country. The country is sectional, okay, depending on where you control. So losing a diplomatic relationship with him is not a big deal, okay. Coming to who? Museveni. Museveni, again, that's a landlocked country. They need us more than we need them. Or they either export their stuff through Tanzania or they use us because we have a coastal line. They don't. Okay, so they need us, and we can do without them. And Museveni, we can disagree with him on principle. The guy is a dictator. He has been killing people here and there and trying to influence politics in Kenya. So that's what I'm saying. We have options. That's why losing these countries you've mentioned is not a big deal.
That is according to Kenya Rebel, but we know it's a big deal. Now, the other thing I want us to look at just quickly before I go to something else. Um, at one point, Kenya used to deal so well in terms of even our shilling was better when compared to some of these countries. But over the days, it's one thing to say we don't need our friends and our partners, but now we even self-sufficient, given that even our own shilling is not doing well. If you compare it to you, Tanzania, the exchange rate 3 years back and now has really dropped. Same to what Uganda is. Ghanaian currency is stronger than Kenyan currency, despite it having what we call this, it refused to pay some of its debts, and some would
Yes.
say the economy is not doing well there. But despite all that, Ghana seems to be doing well. Why is Kenya struggling, yet we are destroying relationships that we ought to build so as to increase our markets, so as to increase our exports? Because as we continue increasing our exports, getting new markets, expanding ourselves, that's how we build an economy. So how will we build an economy if we are destroying both home and away?
Uh, you build an economy by producing, having industry in your own country. That's number one. You
After
don't.
that,
Yes, I
after
know,
that,
but okay, listen, Jakes, tulia kidogo, okay? You build yourself to become self-sufficient. That's number one. You have to have a military that's not being trained by the Bancroft or the US or the British. Have a natural way of producing energy, whether it's nuclear energy, so that you don't have to depend on watu wanakuchezea kama KPLC, whatever the case is, with those tokens and all that nonsense. Okay, and in order to have industry in your country, you have to have a source of energy. We have this. Okay. After that, we can trade. Like I say, if you can produce for yourself, you don't need to borrow money from IMF. Why do you think the Sahel nations are getting away from IMF? To answer your question, in fact, let me deal with this Kenyan money losing its value. Kenya is not losing its value not only just because of the economy. Listen to me. Nani, David D wrote in his tweet, and he was very categorical, and he said, Kenya is among the African countries, even Ghana. They were put in a structural adjustment program, okay, under Uhuru's government. And part of the deal is you have to devalue your currency. That's why you see Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and all the African nations that have huge debt with IMF. They are being told to devalue their their currency against the dollar. Part of the reason is because worldwide, Jake, this is what is happening. The dollar is losing its value. People are dumping the dollar. because it is not backed by anything. It used to be backed by gold. It's not backed by anything. That's why you see BRIC nations are going to start their own currency. That's why you see the Sahel nation, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, they want to start their own currency backed by gold. Everyone is dumping the dollar, okay? So these countries that have wakona loans, the IMF, the Americans and the British are forcing them to devalue their money against the dollar so they can be dependent on the US dollar. Uganda has one of the huge gold deposit in East Africa, okay? Why are they still pegging their money against the US dollar? Why? Because they have been told to, they have been forced to. That's why you see Museveni now has started looking at East, is looking at Putin. So the dollar losing its value, the Kenyan shilling losing its value against the US dollar, it's not just because of the economy. Hizi ni masharti zimewekewa kwa we have been under structural adjustment program since Uhuru Kenyatta's regime, and it's continued with Ruto. That's why you see Ruto still is rubbing shoulders with the president of the IMF, okay? So it is not just as simple as saying that, oh, we are losing the Ninio because of our economy. Kenya is producing a lot of Ninio. Iko na pesa mingi. Kenya's economy is very good, but corruption inawaangusha, corrupt leaders, including the Ninio, administration and the previous administration. Hiyo ndio maana tunaanguka, but we can actually be self-sufficient. Now, if you're self-sufficient, you can choose who you want to do business with because you're not depending on doing trade with other people to survive. That's why you see these people always want us to be dependent on them. I hope I'm clear on the basic understanding of how you can be self-sufficient economically.
Tell me a country that is doing what you're saying.
Russia, China. Who else do you want me to tell you? Burkina Faso, they are working towards it. Mali. Who else? Is it Namibia? There's one that this country in the desert here is doing very well. Not Namibia. What is it? It's karibu na South Africa. It's near South Africa. What is it called? Not Namibia. It's Botswana. Okay. There's different countries that actually, they're self-sufficient. Okay. They choose who they do business with. So, for example, like Russia or China, they won't beg to do business with Museveni because Museveni is, I don't know. You see what I'm saying? Because they can produce for themselves. They have natural resources enough. They have industry enough to produce, to feed their people, and they can protect themselves. They don't need the UN or the US to protect them or to train their soldiers. That's the point I'm making.
All right. When I look at some countries, for example, when I look at Uganda, they are doing something. Tanzania is doing something, and just the other day, Tanzania has launched a very interesting SGR in their country, different from what Kenya did. Why is it that in our country we always seem to get most of this infrastructure wrong? Other countries do it so well. Ethiopia did the SGR so well. Ours was so pathetic in a way that it was overhyped, overpriced, and it didn't really meet the expectations of many. And our other countries, if we are to borrow Q, other countries are doing what we are doing, but they're doing it better. Why is that?
I would advise you to go listen to Jimmy Wanjigi, and there's a group called Okoa Mombasa. They have documentation of the SGR deal, and they explain thoroughly how SGR is a private debt and how Kenyans were duped into paying for SGR and all this. In fact, the Uhuru Highway, was it Uhuru Highway? That's big highway that was built during Uhuru time, whatever case is. So it comes down to the government corruption. And corruption, as you know, it didn't start with the Ruto's government. Uhuru's government, Kibaki's government, Moi government. So it comes down to it. Corruption. We don't, and not only corruption, we don't follow the law. These corrupt people are not prosecuted. They're running away, running around free. In fact, most of them want to run for president. So
Mhm.
the difference between Tanzania and Kenya, to answer you in a short answer, uh, it is corruption. Go again. I urge you to go listen to Jimmy Wanjigi as he explains how the infrastructure that we have, how we were overcharged by the government, and you are duped into
Ca-
paying for it.
you and another friend of mine, you like quoting these guys, but are they the custodians of facts in Kenya? In that, I'm sure they have a source they get their facts from. Why can't we go to those facts first? Because they can be biased in how they give their facts. I'm sure all these records are in somewhere in government institution. Why can't you direct me to this institution rather than to a person? You know, a person can
Okay,
have a biased reporting. Why not a reliable source? Why not
J-
a reliable quoter? Because it's one thing to quote David Ndi, it's another thing to quote Jimmy Wanjigi, but it's the actual fact to quote where the records are. Because one time, CS Murkomen said he will table the facts and findings of SGR, but that hasn't what he tabled. Others say wasn't a complete document. So whatever document Jimmy Wanjigi is referring to ought to have a source, you know, because he's
yes,
not the tenderpreneur. He's not the one who gave the money. He's not the
yes.
one who did the actual contraction. He's not, you know, from whatever source he got. That is something that needs to be verified. So it's one thing to quote him, it's another thing to trust every single word, because by the end of the day, all these things have a source. What
Can
are
I?
his sources? Go
I'm
ahead.
glad. I'm glad you asked. That's why. That's why, Jakes, I told you to go look at his interview because he gives you where you can find the original documentation of the contracts. He mentioned where he got it. He mentioned the names, and that's a group called Okoa Mombasa. Also, they are on Twitter, if I'm not wrong, and they post the Niniot. He tells you in his interviews where he got the information. Now, the reason why I refer you to Jimmy Wanjigi, because you asked me why do you name Jimmy Wanjigi? It is because uh, in that interview that I'm telling you to go watch, he actually tells you where to get it, where to get the information, and he explains that he has challenged even the members of parliament to look at his documentation. He has challenged the what's it, auditor general to do the audit and compare it with his, okay, and do it publicly if they want, okay. So you can go check the interview, listen to listen to the site that his sources of where he got this information, because majority of us, the problem is we don't have the resources to actually, as individual, as private citizens, to carry out this audit. But he has done them and has challenged anyone to take him to the courts, and he also mentioned where he got those Nino. So the onus is on you, Jakes, and I to go verify. So far, no one has challenged him on his documentation and the documents that he has posted in his website and all that. So yes, that's why I'm quoting him.
But him not being challenged doesn't mean that all he has said is true.
Okay,
Because at
that's
times,
why, Jakes,
just one moment,
now
just
you're
one
being
moment.
ridiculous.
At
You're being
times,
ridiculous.
at times they normally say if what you're saying does not add water or does not shake a
Jakes,
glass, I don't
Jakes.
need to respond. You
Okay,
know,
before you finish, if he tells you that I went and got my information from a CBK, okay, and from the Auditor General, okay, what's so hard about that?
hard in no sense.
No, because don't you ask me a question? Why do you refer to Jimmy Wanjigi? Okay, is Jimmy Wanjigi the gospel truth? And I told you that. Okay, the difference between me and Jimmy Wanjigi is that he had the resources to do all this auditing by using his accountants. And he also mentions where he got all this documentation. Now, if you're asking me, I can't give you the new, I can refer you to his website, his interview, where he mentioned where he got all of these documentations. And I told you about the Okoa Mombasa page in Twitter, where they posted the original contracts of the SGR. So why is this complicated? And as I mentioned, he has also challenged, he has tried to invite members of the parliament and senators to look into his by mentioning all this, to challenge if it's wrong or not. He's even tried the Auditor General.
All right.
So why is that so
All right.
complicated?
Enough of Jimmy Wanjigi, because by the end of the day, as I've said, it's one thing to cite them, but it's another thing to really have facts with you.
Right, but
Because they are just like you
where
and
to go
me.
get it.
They do their digging. They do their digging. It's another thing for you as well to go do your digging. Go do your digging so that when you quote something, you are
Mr.
really
Jax.
factual
Jax, you're
about.
being
Yes,
ridiculous.
Bwana.
Jax.
Am I?
Yes, you are, because I'm telling you, in that
Jax.
interview, he's telling you where you can get the source of his information. Okay?
Jax.
Okay.
Yes, Kenya. Yes, Leo.
How are you doing, my brother?
Are you on this stage? Yes, I'm good. Yes, Leo.
Why can't Kenya Rebellion relax? He's taking something from the glass. We are not sure whether he's taking water or he's taking wine or tea.
This is Coca-Cola with ice on it. So relax. Ingekuwa na mapovu, ingekuwa pombe.
No,
But this
I
is
just want to
Coca-Cola.
talk to you, my friend. You promised me some duel. It's nighttime. So, which team do you support in the African CAF?
What are you
Leo,
drunk?
kwani leo wewe ndio uliguza hiyo kitu?
Kitu gani? No, I just have to talk to you, my guy. I'm done speaking. Come on.
Yes,
Really?
Leo, what's your question?
What?
Okay, sorry. My question is this,
What team am I supporting in Africa?
Which jersey are you putting on, my brother?
This is Chelsea scarf. I'm a
Chelsea is
Chelsea
for
fan.
those people who keep on hair and wanaenda kwa salon. So when are you going to salon? Okay, away from that, let me get to the topic. Why is Ruto making enemies with everyone? It's so obvious. Ruto is just a idiot. When he came for the first time, he pretended to.
I can't hear.
All right.
Na mimi kwanza nawashukuru sana, mumenipatia kijana shujaa. Huyu Mushira iko kwenye katiba, mpango ambayo iko kwenye manifesto.
All right, just one moment. Kenya Rebel and Mr. Leo. Leo umefanya ile kitu sawa. Now what do I do when All right, interesting. Allow me to do this just now. I'll be coming back, but I'll leave you with this. I'm taking just 2 minutes of commercial break. I'll leave you to listen to this speech by Martha Koome.
The next question is whether we are intimidated by the barrage of attacks. I think I stated that in my first statement when it happened. I said when judges are attacked publicly and they are hearing a matter, live matters, they feel intimidated. They feel harassed. They feel like they are being ordered to rule in a certain way. Actually, they get embarrassed. Because if you rule this way, they will say it's because you are told off. If you rule the other way, it's like, look, we told you. You see? So this is why we have a principle in law that is called sub judice. When the matter is pending in court, in as much as possible, let us not discuss it in public domain, because the judges are not in that public domain. It is meant to influence them, and it is wrong. That's a principle in the common law of sub judice, to observe sub judice. So I would urge our politicians to stop discussing live matters in public, to allow the judiciary, to allow the judges and judicial officers to engage with the matters objectively and deal with those matters according to the evidence and according to the law.
Wallet yangu niliwacha
All right. Now, Alex, you're back, and sorry, I had to take that commercial break urgently. I rarely do that.
No,
All
we
right.
rudisha
Now,
Leo hapa.
no. I
We
have a
like
way. I
Leo.
like maintaining the integrity of everyone. Hata wewe ukikuja hivyo, I'll have to do that. Eh? All right, that's our good able panelist, Bwana Leo Nyabaya. He was quite active some few minutes ago. We had to take a commercial break, but we are back. Asante tu sana. Now, let's now come back home. The fight between the judiciary and the judges seems not to be going anywhere anytime soon. Today, Raila Odinga made very harsh statements. I don't know if FIDA kesho watatoa sentiments. He described the relationship between Martha Koome and the president. If they go to bed together, he used the word usherati. The TVs had to censor that because it was quite nasty. I don't know if women of Kenya tomorrow watajitokeza huko nje because if it was William Ruto, everyone will be outside complaining at haki za kina mama. But now here is Raila Odinga, who has made a statement that is demeaning to say the least, to Martha Koome. As a old lady, I think she deserves respect, even if we don't agree with her. The word usherati in English is prostitution. I think it's quite unfair to use such derogative words, even if you feel aggrieved. And it is so wrong. I know many will agree or not agree because maybe you support Baba, but I tend to think it's not proper to use such words. But what do you think? Let me begin with you, Alex. What do you think of Baba's statements that ni usherati kushiriki Ruto na Raila, Ruto na Koome wakishiriki itakuwa ni usherati? What do you make of such a statement, Bwana Alex? Alex, are you there? Kenya Rebel,
Unanisikia Jex?
nakusikia.
Unajua there's something about unafanya hiyo kitu nani wewe. Haya.
Go ahead. Sorry, he's still in. I think he's getting visitors in his room. But go ahead.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Jex. Hiyo mambo ya kutumia, especially if you are somebody like Raila Odinga, you don't use words like that. You know, hiyo ni madharau, hata kama you agree with them. So there, I have no squabble with your position. I agree with you. That's just ingekuwa Ruto angesema hivyo. I'm telling you today, people will be marching and kungekuwa na maandamano sahi. But yes, I agree with you, Jex.
Because I'm sure if this came from a UDA supporter, if this came from someone who is not Raila Odinga, hata FIDA wangekuwa on the streets wakisema kina mama wametukanwa. Anyone would come out and bring the gender card because this sentiment, personally, as much as I'm moderating and I'm supposed to be neutral, this one I totally disagree with it. Listening to what Raila
Hakimu mkuu Bi Martha Koome, wacha hii mambo ya usharati, wacha usharati. hapana kwenda kuolewa na executive. Eh? 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 Halo, naambia hakimu mkuu Bi Martha Koome, wacha hii mambo ya usharati, wacha usharati, hapana kwenda kuolewa na executive.
That statement alone really wasn't becoming of Raila Odinga. He is a national figure. He is a leader that many respect and many really celebrate. So this alone, I'm sure, I expected to have women caucus come out and really defend Martha Koome. But because it's Raila Odinga speaking, I'm almost certain no one will come in her defense. Yeah, that statement I think is demeaning. It's unbecoming because I respect and I celebrate all women leaders, and I feel that Martha Koome, despite her challenges and her woes right now with the president, she deserves respect. She does. She does deserve respect because she is the president of the judiciary. Despite us not agreeing with her, our words should be measured. At times, we should measure our words because this one, I feel from where I sit, I feel I should have a position, and I totally disagree with this sentiment.
Naambia hakimu mkuu Bi Martha Koome, wacha hii mambo ya usharati, wacha usharati, hapana kwenda kuolewa na executive. Eh? Eh? Eh?
All right. I know Mr. G would agree with me, but what do you make of such statements, Bwana G?
Okay, how are you, Mr. Jex?
I'm fantastic.
Today I've been so busy till now I'm still in the port na sijajua kabisa
I
what is
understand.
happening. Ni vile tu nimeamushwa sahi with one of our brother na nikashtukia wacha tu niingie kwa show nione nini inaendelea. So there's something you're speaking about but I don't know exactly what is really happening.
Now, here is a statement by Raila Odinga. He went further to describe the relationship that may happen between Ruto and Martha Koome. He described it as usherati. There is where umekuta tukidiscuss. It's what today ilinigwara bifani. So let's listen into what he said, and then maybe I have your sentiments of the same.
Mbia hakimu mkuu Bi Martha Koome, wacha hii mambo ya usharati, wacha usharati, hapana kwenda kuolewa na executive.
Is it proper to use such words on Martha Koome? Because I think she is a woman, all right. But why is it that it's so easy for men to, when they feel they have been aggrieved by women, to hit low, to go sexual? Why is it so easy for them?
Is it that because they are hate with women, no. Okay, I am an Azimio supporter. Even though I don't always agree with some words that Baba always use. Those other words, I always don't agree with them. But this word here, he used awache malaya. And he was talking about mambo ya siasa. Yani mambo ya kumangamanga. When somebody talks about malaya, this thing of somebody ambaye hana msimamo. So to me, okay, as much as I don't agree with some of the words that Baba uses on this woman called Koome, to me, Koome is a demon. To me, Kome is a hypocrite. So when
You're
Baba
not
uses
even
that word,
making it
I
easier.
will agree with him. I will agree with what Baba says concerning this woman called
Uh,
Kome. Kome is a demon to me. Is a demon.
really? Okay. We, nakwambia hii show ya leo ni ile show eh? Why would you describe her even in a more nastier way than Raila Odinga did?
This woman destroyed my heart. He crushed my heart totally. When we try to complain about the last year's election, tunampatia
Mm-hmm.
our evidence, at least angalie our evidence, and he just
Mm-hmm.
go ahead another kutita hot air, another kutita white goons. This is a demon. Baba should use every word that he can pronounce to describe her. He just Baba use every word that comes to your mouth. Describe her. Every word that comes.
Well, I really need to know which day today is because you guys, leo mnani nice. Leo was just here a few minutes ago. But wewe naona uko sawa. Now let me ask you. We are talking about William. Now this was a different topic that umekutilia tukiongelea, but earlier we were discussing on why Ruto is making enemies with everyone. We were able to see how he has a fallout with Uganda, with Sudan, with DRC Congo, with Tanzania, with Rwanda. Why is he having fallouts with other nations? Yet these are countries that we have had close working relationship over the decades. Why now? Why him? Why is Ruto not making more friends but foes? Unmute yourself.
Okay, Ruto is somebody that always purport to say that he knows everything. This is a guy that doesn't listen to any advice. He's somebody that
Uh-huh.
doesn't want to be controlled by anyone, and he's a know it all somebody.
Mhm.
So when it
Mhm.
comes to our neighbors, those are the people ambao wamezoea kuketi chini wakiongea, wakipanga
Uh-huh.
mipango zao pamoja as East African team. But this guy amekuja akiwa anaonyesha kuwa kitu ya kwanza kuwa the most learned person. That is the narrative that is going on, the most learned president in East Africa. So anatry
Uh-huh.
kuonyesha kuwa yeye anajua kila kitu, and that's why unapata he's just messing around. And another thing that I can say that this guy is not a leader. He's not a leader.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's why he just messing around with everything.
All right. Bwana Penya Gaka, good to see you. Hope you're well. Penya Gaka, you okay? All right. I'll be coming to him. Just
Yeah, I'm
yes.
okay. I'm okay, James.
Aha. What do you make of what we are discussing? I'm sure there's a reason you're in.
My friend, Jakes. This is why Raila will never be president of Kenya. He went
Aha.
somewhere in Kajiado in 2017 when they were running for election, and he asked, "Where did you guys come from?" Na hii ni rafiki yangu ananiambia kutoka Kenya. Where did you? He thought mainly the people that were there, Pendas. And one guy told me he was with the city, and he told me, "Man, no wonder you don't like it." This is one of the issues. I mean, most of these guys who follow Raila are followers. There's a word called follower. They are not political realists. Hawezi kumuita anything.
Mm.
Naweza kuita nani Ruto Ramashamba, and they will tell me, "Man, why you call him Ramashamba?" And he's your guy. He's my guy, but when he took that land, he's a Ramashamba. But those guys who follow Raila will follow him to anywhere, to hell, to anywhere. And that's a lie. To call a lady like that a prostitute is stupid in and of itself. Because Maraga wanted the audience with the Kenyatta. Kenyatta would not give him that audience. Was Maraga a prostitute? My friend, let it be known that Raila does this all the time. I will give you example after example where he kills himself, where he destroys himself. Na hii kuita huyu mama Maraya, you cannot get any ODM people to tell you anything negative. Hiyo ni kitu mbaya. They are all followers. That's it. I have a lot of them as my friends, but they follow. There is a difference between followers and independent thinkers. That is an insult in mbaya sana. As a father of daughters, that's an insult that can go very far. Hiyo tu. Thank you, Jackson.
All
Thank you,
right.
baadaye ni
Uh,
statements.
all
Nyagaka,
right.
Nyagaka,
Now, Mr. G,
Yeah,
Mr.
that's
G,
how
are
he
you a
got himself.
follower? All right.
I am
Mr.
a
G, are
follower
you a
and a
follower,
supporter.
or are you able to think on your own, to the level that you can be able to deceive her when someone uses very nasty even if you don't agree with her? What she is a position that is respected worldwide. She is the Supreme Court president. Calling her a word that is so demeaning, even if she crushed your heart, does it make it better? Does it make it easy for you? Does it even make you able to live with yourself when you call her names? Is that how we should address our ladies? This is someone's
Mr.
mother.
Jex,
This is someone's wife. This is
Mr. Jex,
someone's sister.
yeah,
For crying out loud.
e- exactly. But he should show it that he's also, he's what can I use? He should also be responsible. When he told us that executives are doing things that he does not like, why is it that she is calling them again to come and sit together with them? What are they discussing?
Mhm.
Exactly. What is she discussing with this guy? And yet this is the person ambaye ameportray kuwa he's affecting his work.
But I agree with you. It's okay. There are better ways of addressing what you are raising. It's not okay for them to meet. But should we go to the level of calling her names that are almost demeaning to any human being? You can imagine if your wife was called such names. How, as the husband, would you feel if your daughter, if you have one,
Okay,
was called such a name? What would you feel as a man, as a father, as a husband? How would you feel?
Mr. Jakes, we all respect women, we respect them, but when it comes to somebody ambaye hataki kuturespect pia, somebody that anataka kutuonyesha kuwa he is the chief justice ambaye hataki kutusikiza, hataki kutuelewa, we will never respect her. We cannot respect somebody who does not respect us. To me, that woman is a
So
hypocrite. To
how did
me,
she disrespect you? If I may ask you one on one, how did she disrespect you?
I am a supporter of Azimio, and we had a case. We provided a case and evidence. Why
Uh-huh.
did she call us names?
What names were those? Sorry, I'm almost
The
becoming
hot air.
petty.
You don't remember
Uh,
the hot air, the white goons, G what, G what. And remember on this case that he was calling us G hot air, white goons, what and what. This woman referred to
uh-huh.
us as Azimio supporters. Na kwanza
Mhm.
akatuambia kuwa sijati we edited those evidence, and yet the evidence
Mhm.
was edited with this guy, this was it sijui Diongo ama what, there's another guy from America who lives America, alafu most of them kwa anakuja Kenya, and he presented his petition. Na this guy alikuwa na work na DCI,
Mhm.
and is the same guy that brought in evidence from DCI that were edited, and this woman akatransfer those evidence from this guy anatupatia kama si Azimio. He start calling us names.
But I think you guys are just bitter. 1 year down the line, you still have wounds that you have refused to heal. And
Jex, I told you that this
uh,
woman crushed my heart a million times, and I don't know if I will ever heal. That's why I will never respect her. I will never heal. I
but
don't know if I will ever heal.
I'm sure Mr. G is sorry to sound personal. I'm sure you have an ex-girlfriend. I don't think you use such words to describe her.
No, I cannot use such words to my girlfriend. I will use it to an arrogant person like Kome. Not to
No,
my
I'm
girlfriend,
saying
but to
you have
Kome,
an
I will use it.
ex-girlfriend who probably equally. Just a moment. You have an ex who probably equally hurt you, like Kome did. I'm not sure if you can describe her in those words. Sorry, maybe Mama is closer to you and Otaki kujichomea, but
No,
um,
I'm in port. I'm in port right now. I'm not at home. I'm in port right
but
now.
I'm
Mama
sure,
is not around.
yeah. So I'm sure if if
No, Mama is not
we were to
around.
talk
But
about your ex, I'm sure you wouldn't talk about her in a nasty
I
way as you
cannot.
have described.
I respect.
You
I
cannot.
respect my ex. I
All
respect
right,
my ex so
but
much.
how come
But
as much as
Kome, I don't.
uh,
I don't respect Kome. I don't,
mhm.
and I will never respect her. In fact, I told you that what he's doing is just pretending. He's just a pretender.
Now, it's one thing to say you don't like Martha Koome. The Supreme Court ruling didn't have one ruling; it had seven, or rather, each judge gave a verdict. They all, in unison, agreed. Why isolate Martha Koome alone? Why not equally say you hate smoking Wanjala, you hate Philomena Mwilu, you hate all of them? Why only single out the president simply because she's the one who read the judgment? What if it was written by the other the other judges? All she did was just read. Why hate her really to that level?
No, Mr. Jakes is not just a Kome. The whole seven team, the whole team that was with Kome. I don't respect those guys.
So your hate cuts across both to Philomena Mwilu,
All of
smoking
them,
Wanjala.
all of them, all of them. I don't respect them.
All right, all right. Now let's come back to the topic we were discussing because this was just a by the way. I think this clips nimecheza tu saizi of Raila calling Martha Koome that word is what is making headlines in the Twitter. And I'm sure women will not come out to defend Mother Koome. Women from all those organizations wenye huwa tunaona wakijitokeza You remember we saw Esther Passaris akitokea kwa street. We saw akina Shebesh defending the rights of women. They will not come out to defend one of their own simply because it's Raila Odinga. You have even Mr. G saying those words were even little. Raila ought to have added more words. But if it was Ruto, let me
Exactly.
ask, if it was Ruto using those words, issue hata ingewezekana kweli, because you would be here saying how bad Ruto is.
No, Mr. Jakes. If it was Ruto using those words to Kome, I will praise Ruto. If he was using those words to Kome, I will praise Ruto.
All right. Why do you hate this woman that much? Because I think your hatred now is almost personal.
She is the one who read the judgment.
Okay. Well, hii show ya leo ni ile show wadau, but well, that's what happens here. Afrique 24 times we get very interesting days like this one today is an interesting one. Good year, I see you umebambika yako yote. Asante sana Alex Media, I see you and many. Wow, awesome. Now, can we go back to the show? But I love this fact that you can never talk ill about your ex-girlfriend. I'm sure she's a proud lady wherever she is. Lady so and so, you had a good man in the name of Mr. G. Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. I think hiyo tunaweza wrap up hivyo. I hope it's only one. It's not a list. Okay. All right. Sawa. Tuendelee. Why do we have a situation where we are losing our friends in different countries? When he was a DP, he was so close with the Ugandan president. Now that he's the president, he seems to be losing that relationship to the level that we are even sued by Uganda. What makes him lose close friends and partners that he used to have? That is William Ruto.
But Jax, I have just told you about William
Mhm.
Ruto. William Ruto
Mhm.
is just one guy that happened any advice. He's a know-it-all person.
Mhm.
Ni mtu ambaye anajifanya anajua kila kitu. He doesn't listen to any advice. And
Mhm.
going ahead and maybe unapata this mess that is going around, anakosa marafiki, mara East Africa imempeleka yani nini Tanzania, sijui imempeleka wapi. Oh,
Mhm.
somebody's calling. I think it's Buru calling.
Yeah, and I have to ignore it because it affects the show. But go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, he's calling, so I don't know. Okay, let me ignore it also.
Yeah.
Okay, what I was trying to say, Mr. Mburu, is that this guy is a guy that he's a know-it-all person. Ni mtu ambaye,
Mhm.
okay, another fact is that he purport to be the most educated president in East Africa. You see, sasa anaona hawa watu wengine hawa ni kama hawafai. This is what is this just what is happening to him. He's a guy that is a leader who doesn't know what friendship means. He's a know-it-all person, anataka kudictate any
Mhm.
person, anataka kudirect in any person without any respect to these people. He doesn't know that these people who
Mhm.
wanatusaidia tukiwa nao pamoja, there's some help that we get from them, but huwa hataki kusikia vitu kama hizo. Yeye anasema anajua vile anafanya. Yeah.
Mhm. Now, uh, will us losing this friendship, will it cost our country in terms of these are our partners, these are people we work with? Will when we lose them in terms of the friendship, the closeness that we have with them as a country, does it affect us in any way?
Yeah, it affects us. So, we have some of us, we are
Mm-hmm.
businessmen, and our guys, our clients comes from Tanzania,
Uh-huh.
some comes from Uganda, and some comes from Southern Sudan. So for instance, kama sahi
Mm-hmm.
amekosana na those guys, alafu wacha kuleta mizigo zao from Mombasa, they start using Tanzania sport. Already tushapoteza clients. This is what is happening. It
Mm-hmm.
always affects us. Yeah.
All right. Okay. There's this other bit that I want us to look at. When all this began, ilianza na even some of these presidents making some statements that others would say were not good statements. You remember the Tanzanian president one time made a joke that kwa jirani hakuna unga, hakuna stima, anaongea tu Kiingereza. Kidogo kidogo we saw Murkomen make a statement against Rwanda. We saw this the other leader, what do you call him? Forgetting his name, but all the same, the other countries have been making statements seemingly to kind of ridicule William Ruto. What do you make of it? Why is it that the president is working very hard to have other friends, the Wazungu friends, but closer home, he's making, or rather, he's creating kind of a rift between himself and other countries, or rather, other presidents closer home? Why is he like so, and that to the level that they are now even ridiculing, wanaunda jokes against him. When you tell your neighbor that huyu neighbor wangu hana unga, hana stima, kazi ni kuongea Kiingereza. I think it was mocking William Ruto. That time we had power outage in our country. Many were complaining that a flour in our country was expensive. So why is he finding himself in such a precarious position?
Mr. Jakes, Ruto is a puppet to whites.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a puppet to whites. And to
Uh-huh.
blacks, most of the time he likes to pretend that he's just somebody. In fact, he always pretend to be a Pan-African, but he's
Mm-hmm.
somebody that hajaielewa the meaning of that word, that he always tend to believe that he's pushing for. This is a guy that I think it was last week but one, when he lied to us openly saying that sija alikuwa anatembea kule nje akitafutia watu kazi. The Google something. The Google something. I don't know if you have passed across that that information. but there's an information that is going around in the media whereby just 2 weeks ama 1 week ago he stood up akatambia yeye anatembea akienda nje just kutafutia watu wa Kenya biashara, kutafutia watu wa Kenya kazi. But wakati anasema hivyo, the second day, the following day, the same place ambayo anasema alienda, wanasema kwa there wanafuta watu kazi kwa sababu ya nini? Wana cut cost. So yeye hapa anadanganya watu kuwa ameenda kutafutia watu kazi kule, wale watu wenyewe ambao anasema ameenda kutafuta kazi kule wanakata kazi, wanafuta watu kazi because of wana cut cost. Yeah, so this is a liar, this is a person ambayo is a pretender, and I think our neighbors wamekuja kujua kuwa this is just person who like promising things that he cannot do. So wanaona ni kama he's more of a joker to them. Yeah.
All right. And there's this other element when you remember at one point the president was quick to say that he's moving in different countries to seek jobs, which you have said, but we are yet to see that materialize. What could be the challenge? Is it that he talked too early before the materialization of the sentiments, or it was equally, can I use the word that you hate, hot air?
Yeah, that's just hot air. You know, Kenyans rise up and they started, in fact, they complained so much of his trips every time, every week, every after 2 days, ametoka, every after 2 days, amenda from another country to another country. So that was just a narrative to tell them that I'm going out just to look for jobs for you people. Just a narrative created, a hot air narrative, yeah. Just at least for wale watu wajenga ambao wanamfuata wasikie raha. But the guy, he's doing nothing for us. Wakati anatembea kule nje. Nothing, he's doing nothing.
All right. Now, you have said rightfully that if we lose our relationship, we might end up losing our exports to these countries. And equally, when we are at loggerheads with these other countries, when Kenya will be in trouble, who will we run to?
You know, that's why we are calling for revolution. We are calling for revolution. And you know, Mr. Jakes, for me, I am Azimio supporter. And you know, I have to tell you the truth. I am Azimio supporters, and I believe in that word. And in fact, I advocate this word that people say so every time and then, that Ruto must go. I advocate for that word. The problem is that I can tell you for free that for us Azimio, we don't have that structure that we can use kutoa huyu mtu kwa hiyo kiti. We don't have that structure. Kila wakati tunapiga kelele, tunapiga mdomo, Ruto must go, but we don't have strategy that we can use to remove this guy from that seat. I am an Azimio supporter. Yeah, but I hate Ruto for his policies. I don't like the policies that he's using. That's why I advocate for that word, Ruto must go. But I know for fact we cannot remove Ruto from that seat. It is impossible.
But
that's why I always tell Raila.
Where will he be going to?
No, I don't know if you remember how the Sri Lanka's way happened. The president of Sri Lanka, I don't know where he went on. That's where even Ruto must go. We don't know where he will run to. The only thing that we want is for him to leave the seat.
Our constitution is clear. If he was to go, the other person who is second in command takes over. So are you better off with Gachagua? Is that what you want to tell us?
That is worse. That's why we are calling for revolution.
Regardless, whether Ruto goes or not, the second in command becomes the president. Is Gachagua the person you guys feel you can work with?
No, we cannot be safe in the hands of Gachagua. Because Gachagua is more worse than even Ruto. Gachagua is more worse than Ruto.
Only be the president for 90 days is Wetangula. Papa wa Roma, would you be okay
remember,
with him?
Remember, Jakes, what we are calling for is this regime to be taken out. Na polisi wachukue, jeshi wachukue, military, they should take over. But these other things, Gachagua
will have suspended our constitution.
What?
If that was to happen, it means our constitution will be suspended, correct?
But it's better we suspend the constitution. It's better we suspend it and create a new Kenya than living in this world whereby everything is a mess.
Really? Are we even there really? Because is it that bad?
We cannot reach there. we
Are you
cannot reach
saying
that. That's why I told you,
so
Jex.
because your candidate didn't win? Or Mhm.
You're saying
Go ahead. Are you saying
there's
so
something that you're
simply
saying. My
because your
candidate.
candidate didn't win?
No, what I'm saying is that we need
Mhm.
revolution in this country, and the revolution is to sweep out every person that we don't believe in their policies, and this is a UDA regime. But remember, I told you, Jex, that I am an Azimio supporter. But for us as Azimio, we don't have strategy to remove these people. We don't have that
Even
strategy to remove these people.
even if you remove them, how will it make any Azimio leader be a president or lead the country? How? Even if we were to, let's take in point what you're saying is true. How will it make any other leader be president if that was to happen? How? Will we use
No,
Kienyeji way
you
or
know what happens? No, we don't use
what
Kenyaji
laws
way.
will we be using?
What happens after military taking over? There is a period of time that the military takes over, and then we go back to election. It's not that the Azimio takes over from
Um,
from the revolution.
so according to you, it can only be okay if we go back to elections, all right? Now, what would
Exactly.
happen
We go
if
back to
we
election
go
and
to
we choose the
elections?
right people.
Because nothing bars William Ruto from contending. What what if he still wins despite the military and everyone else helping? What
You
if
know,
he still wins?
Jex,
Will you still call for more revolution since your candidate will not still have
no,
won?
we cannot call for more revolution. You know what I'm saying is, even right now, Mr. Jex, let me tell you the truth. Even right now, if Ruto
Mhm.
anaamuka leo asubuhi ama anaamuka kesho asubuhi, anaye aseme acha tufungue saba na tuone mwana alishinda, and then nipate kwa ukweli Ruto alitushinda, mimi sitakuwa na shida na Ruto. I will leave him aende aongoze Kenya, hata akitupeleka msituni atupeleke, lakini bora nimethibitisha kuwa alitushinda. But what pains me is that hataki kufungua saba na anasema atalitushinda asubuhi na mchana. You see, this is something that is creating some disturbance in my life, na nasikia namchukia kwa
Let me
sababu
ask
hiyo.
you,
Ruto afungue saba asubuhi tupate ameshinda, mimi I will sit down na nimsikize kama my
but
president alitushinda.
But just like Raila Odinga, Ruto was a contender in the previous election. He had no position in IEBC. So what mandate will he have to open the server? He was equally a candidate, just like Raila Odinga. Can Raila Odinga open the servers? The answer is no. So
Right,
what powers
Raila,
does Ruto have that Raila doesn't to open the server? Yet he himself was equally a contender.
Mr. Jakes, we had just juicy too. We had this thing called bipartisan talks, and in bipartisan talks,
Yes,
I see we as Mio, we produced those. We had ultimatums that we had, and on the same ultimatums, we told them that let us do what forensic audit on this election. We want them to open the servers. What did they say? Ruto mwenyewe alituambia hakuna saba atafungua, saba ilifunguliwa kitambo sana. This is what he was using, akitumia those portals, akisema those portals are the servers, and yet we
but
told
from
him
what
open the server, let us do forensic audit.
But from the report, Bonaji, from the report, is it not true that what was not agreed were only two items? One, the cost of living, and of course, a review of the housing levy. Every other thing was agreed upon, including an audit of the 2022 election. So I think that is a matter they were able to agree with. Don't you see that matter was canvassed properly and light was shone on it? And probably somehow, when we have an IBC, because that's the role, it's an IBC is an independent body for starters. Two, that's the role of the commissioners. So we don't have any at the moment. So in any case, William Ruto cannot open the servers if he was to. We have to have a commission to do
No,
that. And
Jakes,
yeah, how can he open? What criteria will he use? What laws will he be
no,
citing
he
that he
has
is
to give
using to
orders.
open the servers?
Mr. Jakes, remember
Yes.
our petition in the courts. We told these guys that it is the judges ndio walisema kwa we go and open the server, okay? Na wakati tulienda ule mtu wa kipara alikataa, Chebcheta Chebukati alikataa, and we came back to court na tukaambia huyu mtu watu wamekataa kutufungulia. Do you know what they were telling us? Walikuwa wanatuambia sisi tunajua kwa itafunguliwa, sisi tunajua kwa imefunguliwa, and yet we were telling them kitu ijafunguliwa na ilikuwa ijafunguliwa. At the end of the day wakafungua just partially one server partially, ambayo hata haikutusaidia, you see. Alafu baadaye wanakuja wanatuambia nini, your case is hot there, siji nini. That's why I hate them. What I'm saying is that Ruto asimame siku moja kama kesho aseme courts, fungueni hii server, fungueni hiyo server, alafu wafungue tupate Ruto ametushinda. I have nothing against Ruto, nitamsikaa chini na nimsikize kama my president, but because hataki, I cannot sit and listen to him.
I think I'm about to say this. I think you guys need closure. You are jilted in the sense that you still feel as though there's something that went wrong and all, so you feel cheated and everything. So that's why I really are stuck with that issue of the server, and that is a matter that seems not to be going anywhere anytime soon. So maybe how we solve it, maybe the servers being open might help. I'm not sure, but then again, it might equally burst your bubble, saying, "Oh, you are robbed," only to be proved that you weren't robbed in the first place. But it's a matter that we wait and see. I'm sure Nyagaka
We
has
need that
something
proof.
to say.
We need that proof. We need those
Aha,
proofs.
all right. Nyagaka, what do you say you concerning that matter?
Jex,
Yes, sir.
kama wewe ndio tutasaidia sana. The servers were open. They were open. Kuna mtu mwingine alikuwa IT wa East Africa. I think his name was like Njoroge. And they negotiated with older guys and Azmio. And they asked the older guys the tours, the stations that they wanted to look at. And they looked all of them, they were 20 something. And they looked, Jex,
Yes,
you need to look that up and help my friend over there so that he can really sleep easy. They opened all the tours that as new challenged, and all of them was clear as
Jex,
daylight.
tell Nyagaka to stop lying. Tell Nyagaka to stop lying.
No. That's why I said that Jex can help us on that. Because when mother said when the lady said later on that this was hot air, it was using that. When you guys go to the court and say that these and that tour stations were messed with, and they looked it up, and it was very clear, Jakes. You can look it up. It is in a court system. Everything that they brought, they thought that the judges, every one of them, how can the judges be compromised? 70 of them or 9 of them. How can they all of them be compromised? At least one could have said otherwise. That's how the courts rule anywhere in the world. And all of them said all the truckloads of stuff that you brought was hot air. How can you go somewhere and sit down and assume that everything that you bring will be taken? And yes, you really need to do research on that and help my friend, because there is nothing that can be opened.
All right.
All the things that you guys talk about were looked at and they found they were all clear. They were everything I'd be saying. They were. When you say that you would be less, and they were
All right.
negotiated, and as you had
All
somebody
right.
who was an engineer with ICT. His name was Joroge. Please do research on that and help these guys, because they are delusional. They are thinking that they have to be president. Or if you throw Raila out, Ruto out, then you bring the army. My friend, that's wishful thinking. There's no reality. You bring the army and put it in 2010 when we just promulgated the new constitution. And the constitution, it was fought over 30 years or so. And they was just signed in 2010. And if this guy leaves, The other guy who would be there would be Gashawa. So if you follow Raila, follow him to anywhere you want, but not to be president of my country,
Ah,
of Kenya. And I
all right.
say very clearly,
Yes.
and you
Mr.
can look
G,
it up,
Mr. G, what do
and
you
you
think?
played it yes.
Yeah.
You said you played it yesterday. Maraga sought audience with Kenyatta. Was she a prostitute? And Kenyatta refused. Kenyatta refused to even hire the people that were hired by the Judicial Commission. And like I told you last night, we understand very free watu wengine kutoka Kisii kwa sababu he never wanted to hire those six because two of them were from Kisii, and we know that. So the wish were
Yes.
thinking that Kenyatta, Ruto will leave and this and that. Ruto is not going anywhere. He's going to win 2027 hands down because this guy is catching
Yes,
out
Yes.
the teachers. I mean the women,
Kenyariba,
calling them names.
sorry, not Kenyariba. Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Tell
Mr. G,
Nyagaka to work on his
Michael
mic.
Mike.
Just tell Nyagaka to work on his mic, aongee kitu tunasikia. You know, I'm not getting even what he's talking about. Napata tu kimoja sijui Njoroge mara nini, mic yake iko poa. Nyagaka, work on your mic tukusikie unasema nini.
Okay, nilikuwa nazungumza kitaa sana. Sasa unanisikia?
Nakusikia
Hello?
lakini toa hiyo, ongea tu, use normal speaker, toa hiyo kitu manake ni kelele mingi sikusikii.
Yeah, just mute the TV.
Okay. No, the TV is muted. The TV is even off. Like
All right.
I was talking too loud. Maybe ndio hapo nisikia. Lakini
Okay.
nilisema there was the court when we went to court. Yeah, your mama. The ODM people requested that so many vituals stations be opened because the numbers that were there were different from the numbers that went to IBC. Every one of them was clearly what was in IBC was what was in the vituals. So there's no other, servers to be open. And the constitution we just promulgated says that if this president is incapacitated or you say it's a thief or whatever, it is the vice president to take over. This wishful thinking of the military and all this other stuff. It's just that wishful thinking. The military has no capacity to be in politics, not in Kenya. So let me be very clear with you, my friend. Raila will never be president of Kenya. You can follow him all day, all night. Raila will never be president. We wish he will never. But if he wins 2007, we want to Najua Gijalu, to congratulate Owado. He did not. And that's over. Life continues. It is not the end of the world that this guy loses or this guy wins, whatever. We wish you the best. We didn't mess up, my friend, all the time.
Mhm.
Right now should be the time to focus on IBC. But are they there? No. They are following whatever Ruto is doing. They are following. And who said that you should not? The finance bill was passed when the ODM people left. I mean, members of parliament left, 90 of them. So what point are you making? It's very, very clear. Ruto is going to be there for a long time, up to 2032. He will not change that constitution where he can serve even more longer time. No, we support him fully, but we support him from 2022 to 2032. Period. Na ule ataendelea kama ni Gachagua nani, we'll follow them. Na mzee Moi, Raila akishinda ashinde, but we cannot go after election. You guys are coming up with all kinds of ideas of how to do away with Ruto. No, we just won the elections. We're building houses. We're doing everything that we could to make sure that 2027 we win. Na huyu mzee akiendelea kutusu wanawake namna hii, so be it. We will
All
never,
right.
he will never be a president of
Yes.
Kenya when he's doing this.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm
All right.
sorry. You can hear me now.
Yeah. Now, yes, Mr. G, I am sure you have a
Jakes, there's a
rebuttal.
country. There's a country. I think it was Gabon, or there's a country just from Western Africa, which had recent election, and after election, the military took over. And the first thing they did, they just opened the server. After opening the server, they found out that the person that was declared that he had won the election, he just got less than that 5%. And the person that they pronounced that he lost the vote, the election, he was the one getting even more than 70%. I don't know if you remember that.
Hello, Mr. J, is still there?
Yeah, Mr. Jakes, I don't know if you remember that story.
Uh-huh.
Just in Western Africa, yeah, there's a country in Western Africa. They had election just previous months, just few months ago. And after having that election, they pronounced that the sitting president has won the election. After winning the election, the military were not happy with outcomes. They decided to take over. After taking over, the first thing they did is just to open the server. After opening the server, they found out that the opposition leader, who was declared the second, he had won the election with more than 70%. And the president who they
That
have
is very
declared that
true.
he won the election.
That is very true. We saw that.
Yeah, that's why I'm
But
saying that even once you can use that way.
Kenya, my friend G, my friend, Kenya is different. You guys accepted to go to court. We went to court, and whatever was open, you pointed out about Vituo Kama 25, 26. All of them, you pointed them out. How can you use that example of West Africa? How they changed it when you pointed out the Vituos, and all of them were clearly the same numbers. It was in IPC. That's the day and night.
Penny, they were not the same. Penny, those vituals that you are talking about, we find a lot of irregularities. Even the Form 34A Book 2 was used on the same vituals, and yet it's Chebukati himself who told us that we should not use the Form 34A Book 2. But in the same vitual that we're talking about, the forms were used. So I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Penny.
All right. I want us to come to more recent news. Now, because we cannot change the past, we cannot. Even if we wish to, we cannot. All right. Now, there's a matter that has been happening. Now, today was the second time, or I think the third time this is happening. It happened in Busia. We said it's because of Otuoma. Now, today it happened, and they said it's because of Fort Kenya. I'm talking about the constant disruption of Raila's meeting. The other day we saw people with machete, people with rungus. I'll be playing that just now. But this happened today. This was the meeting in Bungoma, and Raila Odinga's meeting was halted for some minutes, or at least some few minutes, because of this.
Mkutano wa chama cha ODM huko Bungoma uliohudhuriwa na kinara wa chama hicho Raila Odinga ulitatizwa kwa muda baada ya makabiliano ya vijana wa Azimio na wale wanaodaiwa kuunga mkono Ford Kenya katika uwanja wa Posta mjini Bungoma. Kinara wa chama hicho Raila Odinga amekuwa akiendesha shughuli za usajili wa wanachama katika eneo hilo la magharibi ya Kenya. Baada ya mkutano na wajumbe wa chama cha chungwa katika kaunti ya Bungoma, Raila Odinga aliandamana na viongozi wengine hadi uwanja wa Posta ambapo walikuwa na mkutano wa hadhara. Hata hivyo, mkutano huo ulisitishwa kwa dakika chache baada ya vijana wa pande mbili hasimu kukabiliana. Mkutano huo hata hivyo uliendelea hapo baadaye, na Raila Odinga alimtaka Rais William Ruto kuacha kuhujumu uhuru wa mahakama.
Nasema njoo sisi tuongee. Sasa nasema mimi nakubali sasa. Tuende kwa pamoja, tukae pamoja. Bwana, hiyo hatutaki bwana. Wewe simama imara bila ulisema ati mahakama iko independent. Mahakama inatoa uamuzi kulingana na sheria na katiba ambayo iko pale. Nikienda pale nikitoa ushahidi ya kutosha kusema hii ushuru ni juu sana, punda amechoka, basi amue hakuna hiyo.
Like Roblox, the
All
sandbox
right.
allows you to build your
All
own
right.
3D.
What do you make of those violence, Bwana Alex? We saw it in Busia. We now see it happening in Bungoma. What do you make of those violence?
Uh, Dex.
What's that?
No, I'm talking.
Oh, okay.
Dex, it's very unfortunate to see all these things happen. And, I'm one person who cried and asked Raila to do recruitment so that we can have, a register of our people.
Look like they might be rotting a bit. Throw it out.
So I think the way these rallies has been held, and remember Sifuna said that Raila is the one who is bankrolling them because they have been refused the money that the government is supposed to give political parties. Uh, ODM has not received anybody. Wipe has not received anybody. So, but the way these rallies are going, they are scaring them, especially the Busia one. It was so successful. And Otumba was rejected because he betrayed Baba. And you saw today he meeting Mudavari. Did you see that? Jex, did you see Otuoma meeting Mudavari today? Anyway, Jex is out of his way. He doesn't listen.
Yeah,
He's not. He's
I
not
think the
able.
network. I think the network is poor.
Yeah. Okay. So today you saw Otuoma meeting Mudavadi, and the reason he did that is because ODM rejected him, and the people of ODM said they are not going to re-elect him no matter what. And they spoke about nomination, and they told Baba nomination should be done within the county. Now, when we went to Vihiga, again, it was so successful that the way they said is that this is Mudavadi area. Mudavadi got no MCA. The governor is ODM. The senator Otosi is ODM. The women rep is ODM. So they portrayed a picture that Mudavadi is a useless man. Now, when they went to Bungoma today, Raila gave a very good speech about how the liberation started in in uh, in Bungoma, where the guy was Diniam Sambwa, he went to Mount Elgon, he prayed, and he was shown that wazungu lazima watoke Kenya. And he gave the giants that have come from that area, and how he worked with them and he respected them. More especially Masinde Muliro and Kijana Wamalo. And he praised Kijana Wamalo very well. So I think these people are watching from Nairobi and seeing what is happening. The worst that happened is that the brother of Wetangula defected from his party. To which party? To ODM, and said he must support Tim Wanyonyi. So those events, before they went to poster, they were so hurting to them. So I think Mudavadi, no, Wetangula, looking on how the recruitment is being done and how Raila convinced the people and how people defected, made them mad. And that's why you saw when Raila was going to the poster, there was, I think it was GSU. It looked like, for me, it looked like a military truck. but they said it was GSU. And they wanted to disrupt Raila's, but it was so peaceful. So by the time they got there, Poster, because they had said they are going to Poster, you saw those youths had already been in Poster. So the moment they got to Poster, they started beating the people of ODM. And Raila told the people of ODM, do not fight anybody. And this is a directive from Ruto.
You're right, it's here.
So
Uh,
Ruto was in Nandi. So what I'm saying is simply is that there is a problem. Uh, nimepata wageni, I have to leave kidogo.
all right. I understand. Mr. G, what do you make of those violence you have been witnessing happening? It happened in Busia, now it happened in Bungoma. What is the contention?
Okay, Jex, I may just comment on Busia because on Bungoma today I have been so busy. At Sijonah that clip, I don't know how it happened, but I can agree with what Alex is saying because in every this mess and Sarakas is just coming from people from UDA. Like in Busia, let me comment on what happened in Busia. In Busia, this was in Busia or it was in Bungoma?
This was in Busia.
Yeah, in Busia. In Busia, many times since the time we started maandamano, Governor who is Otuoma amekuwa akipinga maandamano. He's an ODM person. He was voted in by ODM, but he's a guy that has been opposing our maandamano, and he has been working with Ruto. This is a guy that formed those goons, those gang, the goons who wanted even to kill me, Oparanya. Why? Because they were undermining, and this guy doesn't want undermining. Another thing, Okoma destroyed those small vibanda ya mama mboga, aliziangusha zote, and he did not have and he didn't have that formidable structure to sit down with these people na aweze kuwa relocate. He just destroyed those structures. He doesn't want to listen to those guys. He doesn't want to talk to them. Anaharibu tu the same way Ruto has been destroying and demolishing houses of people. And this guy amekuwa upande wa serikali sana akisifu serikali. So those guys from Busia, as they are ODM supporters and people who love Baba, they decided to refuse him asiongee.
But now you see,
That's why
look at
even he
the
could not.
weapons they're having. Some were armed to the teeth with rungus, stones. It took the intervention of police to calm the crowd. We saw many come with machetes, and it wasn't looking good. It wasn't. Lucky for us, no one lost his life or has life. No life was lost. But really, do we have to have such meetings where it ends
No,
with serious disruption?
we don't have to have such meetings. We always love peace. We don't love chaos. The problem is that these people they create some goons to destroy the meeting. This guy who is Otoma, when he was in Malaba, and when he was in Malaba, he was heckled. And when he went back to Teso, he was also heckled again. So for me, I think that he just called his people, he just called his goons to come and destroy that meeting so that he may not pass through humiliation that was going to happen. Because he knew even Busia is his town, his hometown, he was going to be humiliated. So he decided to call his team to come and distract that meeting so that it may end prematurely. Ndo baba asiongee, ndo sasa wasiweze kupata that chance to humiliate him, but he did not
Uh,
succeed with his plans.
uh-huh.
It's not that we lack
Now,
we love chaos. No, we don't love that
mm,
chaos.
but when you look at it, it is happening 2 days in a row. Is it that it's so difficult to have a peaceful meeting in some regions in our country, especially if they are led from audience angle?
No, the problem is that the country is divided. The
Uh,
country is divided. That's why I was telling you, Mr. Jex, that for Ruto to come out clear and to come out clean, amwe tu hii mambo ya saba, a force serikali, a force judiciary wafungue those servers, tuone nani alishinda. Kama ni alishinda, atakuwa na peace. I'm telling you,
But
Jex,
sasa
Kenya is divided.
Bungoma na
At
Saba zinaingiliana wapi bwana G?
Bungoma is a UDA. Bungoma voted for UDA.
Mm.
You see, Bungoma voted for UDA. Baba is an Azimio supporter. He went there to encourage those people to join ODM. Nakumbuka watu wa Azimio wamekuwa wakipinga hii serikali. Obvious, hakungekuwa na peace because the country is divided. Kila mtu anachukia another side. Another guy anachukia the other side. So wakikutana, obvious kutakuwa na fracas. That's why I'm telling to put this thing to a stop. It's just for Ruto to come out clear na tujue kabisa mshindi ni nani. Wache mwana alishinda aongoze. That is the only solution that we can find. But tukisema tutaendelea kuwa divided hivi ndio itakuwa kila siku, tutakuwa na fujo kila siku, kila mahali tunaenda. Bungoma is an UDA supporter. They voted for Baba. UDA is with the nini Wetangula. Wetangula is the kingpin of Bungoma. So obviously Azimio wakienda pale wakiongea vibaya, wale watu watakasirika. Na watu wa UDA wakikuja kwetu wakaongea vibaya, pia sisi tutakasirika because there is that bitterness between us. Sisi bado hatuja heal. You know, there's something I told you. Chebukati crushed our heart. We are still bitter. Bado tuko na that pain. So obvious, expect kwa kutakuwa na peace kila wakati mpaka to heal. That day tutahil ndio tutakuwa na peace. So obvious tukikutana, mimi nimekasirika, ule amekasirika, faraka zitatokea.
Lakini sasa mnapigana kwa nini pande zenyu? Because some of those places are termed as ODM stronghold. Busia is not a UDA stronghold. So why fight in Busia?
No, Busia, we had goons who attacked people. And these goons, I connect them and relate them with Otoma. Because it is Otoma who have been using those goons. Yeah, so I relate them with Otoma. Otoma anafanya kazi and he supports this guy. He supports Ruto. That's why we are relating them.
It was so bad. I don't know. There's a guy, I think that clip you are the one who sent me, of a guy with a panga, with a machete.
Exactly.
He looked ready to strike. He seemed to be ready to strike anyone who came his way. Why do we have such intolerance? As much as Sava and all you are talking about are concerned, should we reach that level that we are ready to kill?
We are not allowed to do what we are seeing here happening, you see. But Jex, I sent that clip that you may just see and read the mood. Look at that guy who had the panga. Alikuwa anapita mbele ya polisi. Mbona polisi wakumpiga? Because the guy had a machete. Na mwingine alikuwa na rungu, and they were passing just mbele ya polisi wakicheka, na polisi wanaangalia tu, wanapita wakizunguka because these people have been working with the police, even though police walijaribu to stop the Garcia. But to me, I still relate these guys with Otoma because Otoma ndiye amekuwa akifanya kazi na hao watu. Ingekuwa hao watu ni wakora kabisa ukweli, hata mmoja angekuwa amepigwa risasi na polisi. Police had guns at that place. Mtu anatembea na panga anataka kukata mtu, polisi wanaangalia tu. Why? They knew each other. Wanajua vizuri sana. This is the team that works for Otoma.
But it also means that ODM does not control the region fully as many would perceive. That also can be true because if it didn't have supporters, it don't have such opposition. What do you think?
Data? Sijapata hiyo swali vizuri.
Kuna watu tayari walikuwa wamejitokeza wa the other side, those who are not supporting ODM. So it means that truly that ODM does not control the entire region as they might rightfully say.
Yes. Look at the percent. How many people came out with machete? Almost 10 people. It was 10 or 20. After less than 20. Look at that group. And look at the percent of those people who came out with machete, with the rungos. They are just goons bought by Mr. Nini, by Otoma. Less than 20 people.
So the ones who came with goons, if I understand you correctly, did they come to beat supporters of Otoma or those who don't support Otoma? Because if anything, the meeting was Baba's meeting, right? It wasn't Otoma's meeting. So why have the machetes in such a meeting? What was the reason behind? What's the reasoning behind it?
There's something I told you, yes, but I think haujapata. When Otoma was in Malaba, he was heckled. And when he came to Teso, he was heckled. Now Busia, it is his hometown. Nahua Akona Guns in his hometown in Busia. So he wanted this meeting in Busia to end prematurely so that as you were ashamed because he knew that he will be heckled. That's why he called his goons to come. Whether kuangalia goons walikuja wakatule alikuwa ameitwa akuje a verify his nini his card. Na wakati alimaliza tu kuverify yeye alafu the MP of Matayos akaja. Hata MP wa Matayos akaja maliza the goons wakaanza. You see, so these people came earlier and they wanted this meeting to end prematurely. Why? Because huyu jamaa alikuwa hataki humiliation. Tell watu walikuwa wanapiga makelele, watu walikuwa hataki kumsikia. So it was a planned deal. But because of that, Baba na watu wake wakashinda. But the plan was to end the meeting prematurely.
All right. Now, this one I think was today in Poster Grounds. Just before Raila addressed the crowd, you saw what happened. There was heavy security, there was people running helter skelter here and there, and it wasn't looking so well. Penyagaka, what do you make of this constant violence witnessed in Raila's meeting?
Jakes, we really don't know what's happening right now. Now, whoever is doing it is wrong, be it Otuma or be it anybody. Let Laira sell his Zerazake and anybody can go anywhere in Kenya. And kesi kama hii ya South Mugrango, it is the governor who is crying all over. But huyu nani has really explained on some of the radio stations ya Wusi ya kwamba this guy has even refused to come to any reconciliation from Mosee wa Kisii. I know you are talking about the Bungoma, but the political violence in general, it is bad. It's not good at all because we should kila mtu lazima auze sera zake na that will be the best way to do it, to go for it. Na kama hiyo ni watu ya utuma wanafanya hivyo, that's very bad. It's wrong either way. So let us be civilized. Tushindane kwa kiwanja. Ukishindwa huko ujue umeshindwa. That's it. Lakini ya kwenda kupigana na hawa na wale, that some of us will not support it. Even if we, like I've said, even if we don't want Raila to be president, let him go anywhere and talk to the people however you want to talk to them. But kumshuria na kuleta vujo, that is not a direction of civilization. That is a direction of backwardness. And that, my friend Jakes, will not, some of us will not tolerate it. Even if we are on the other side, we will not tolerate it. Let it be known what is happening. Now, if you were in the open, na vile nimesema huyu nani wa Kisii, why could he refuse Kinongeri and very senior people from Kisii, bringing them together not to have the fights that they are having? That is completely wrong, which means then he's the one sponsoring those. But he can go to Migori, he can go to anywhere and cry that Nani Osoro amempiga. Now Osoro is explaining that he doesn't even own a AK-47. He doesn't know what a AK-47 look like. Wameandika statements kwa polisi, let's see what happens. Na hii ya Bungoma, Vihiga, it is completely wrong. Let the former prime minister hold his peaceful meetings, let him compete kwa kiwanja. That's all I can say, James.
All right, guys, I have like 4 minutes to wrap the show. Let me begin with you, Mr. G. Moving forward, what needs to happen, because somehow such tensions are not necessary for the country. How can we kill these temperatures rising and this bad blood between either supporters of one team and the other? Because we equally saw this in Kisii, as Nyagaka is explaining, between Arati and Osoro. Now we have seen it in Busia. We today had it in Bungoma. Luckily, so far, no one has lost their lives. But who knows what would happen tomorrow? Do we really need to have such form of fierce contestation that we almost go to the level of going up in arms? Uh, we are so intolerant. We come to the meetings with machetes, with rungus. Do we really need to go to that level? And how can we cure it? How can we bring this to an end?
Jex, the problem is that some of us, we are not healed. And because of that, it is as if we are going back to an early campaign. You see, kama sahi, what is happening, even though we are calling for people to register with ODM, but it is as if we are going for an early campaign. Why? This is all happening because we are not satisfied with what happened. Bado hatujatosheka, hatujapata full information of what happened. So we feel like tulikuwa short change. And now there's still that bitterness in us. There's still that bitterness, that unsatisfied, and we are not satisfied with what we got. So what I can say is that is either these people, they just decide, the only thing that can save us is coming out true and coming out transparent. When we become transparent, always what is happening, and we'll come out healed. Say we are not healed because of what we expected, and we got what we did not expect. So when you see these things happening, it's just because people, most of them, kwanza hawana kazi. You see, economy is poor, economy is bad, is doing very poor in Kenya. Most of our businesses are closing, people are losing jobs. So there's some bitterness and hatred wako wamekasirika because of things that are happening in Kenya. That's why you're seeing these things, and to stop it ni mpaka to cool down. But how can we cool down ikiwa bado hatujafurahia na matokeo ambayo inaendelea? Sai wakati ambao tunataka tusikie vizuri ndio mtu anatutusi, mtu anatuthreaten. Wakati tunataka tutulie kidogo mtu anatuthreaten, and he's showing himself, he's coming out to be a dictator. You see, so there's no way to heal, there's no way to in peace because of what is happening. The current situation is not good and is not conducive for us to have peace that we are talking about. Peace only comes when everyone is happy. But for us, as Mio, they are not happy. Other people from UDA, they're also not happy. And there's that bitterness, and people are losing jobs. Kila siku. Money inaendelea kukosa that value every day, every time, and then sahi ukipewa 1,000 hata iwezi kukusaidia. So there is that bitterness in people that cannot be changed and cannot be removed until we come out and know exactly what is really happening.
All right. Kenya Rebel, what do you make of the violence we have witnessed in Busia, today in Bungoma? Just last week it was in Kisii. What do you make of this arising violence when we are having meetings?
Jakes, can you hear me? Hello?
What have you done to your sound?
God.
I can hear you, but I don't know what you have done to your voice.
Anyway, what I wanted to say is this as a mere terrorist, wherever they go, it's just violence after violence. These people are terrorists. Hata ukiangalia Raila anaitwa nani?
Mr. Jakes.
What have you done to your voice? We can't hear you properly. It sounds like a child.
Okay, let me adjust my volume, my tonation.
The guy is calling us terrorists. This guy is calling us terrorists.
But equally, you have called Martha Koome a very bad word. But let's go ahead.
Martha Koome is a pretender. Martha Koome is a pretender. I'm not calling her terrorist. I'm calling her a pretender.
You have called her.
I said he's a hypocrite. I told her she is a hypocrite. He is a pretender. I have not called her a terrorist. Why is this guy calling us terrorist?
You call him Mwizi, Zakayo, thief. But when they terrorize
Zakayo ni mwizi. Zakayo ni mwizi. Ameiba shamba ya nini? Ameiba shamba akajenga Western Hotel. Sa ameiba hiyo shamba. Sali grab the land.
Making my point.
Mcheshi anakufa akiwa anaibiwa shamba yake na huyo mtu anaitwa Ruto. Kwani you want us to defend a thief?
Raila stolen molasses in Kisumu. Raila stolen of
you go with the pretend. You go. We don't hearsays. You believe in hearsays. That's why you're calling us.
You also
you're calling us terrorists.
Hiyo Western uliona
hearsay what? We have evidence. We have evidence of Western Hotel. We have evidence here. We have evidence here. Nini? We took him to court. Kwa geshu ya nini ya Mcheshi. We took him to court. Akaambiwa alipe around 55 million. Did he pay? He was told to pay the money. Did he pay? He's a thief.
He's the president of the Republic of Kenya. Wacheni kumsumbua. Nyinyi terrorists. You terrorists. First of all, mkienda huko Ukisi mnachinja watu.
This guy, huyu mtu anatukasisha sana sasa.
Revolutionary. Unajua ujinga uko nayo unakuanga kwa jet, you are not going to bring it here. Unajua nitakutairisha.
Come on, really?
Nitakutairisha mdomo yako. That verbal diarrhea uko nayo tutaitibu.
Now let's come back to the debate. Let's not degenerate. Just a moment. Everyone, calm down. Now, let's come back to the question.
I didn't finish my point.
Without using any of these words, please answer this. Why do we have violence in these meetings? We saw it in Kisii, saw it in Bungoma, saw it in Busia. Without using any verbal words, why are we so intolerant?
Why do you allow this guy to call us terrorists every day?
Alex, can you go to sleep?
No,
it is past your bedtime.
I've made my ruling.
Don't call us terrorists. To go to sleep. You are calling us terrorists.
Everybody. What's good for the gander is good for the goose. I sat here, I listened to you guys abuse Martha Koome. Equally, I've sat here, I've had you guys abuse Azimio supporters. So it's fair. It's very fair. Because what's good for the gander is good for the goose.
It's good for the Oganda. Yes.
Exactly. My question to you, why do we no, it's fair, it's very fair. Because you have equally called Martha Koome very harsh names, and you say it's because you hate her. Fair enough. Kenya Rebel equally has his sentiments, probably because he hates the other side. So I cannot really siphon what to love, what to hate, if that's what you guys choose to do. So what I can do is only ask you to participate in the debate by the questions I'm asking you. Why do we have this intolerance in these meetings?
Yes, thank you very much, Jakes. You know, I've been noticing that this Azimio side wako na asira ya mkizi. They are so threatened by other political parties. They know, what is that guy? That is CS1 in your technology anaitwa nani huyo Owalo and that young man are making inroads in Nyanza province. Walienda wakachoma ofisi ya UDA, wakafanya nini? Orenga nasema wachape watu nini? Even Raila is saying wachape watu. These people are intolerant. They are violent. Hata ukiona Raila akiongea, he's very violent. Hata waone hapa. Mtu anaongea unamtolea point anakuambia sijui atakutahiri sijui nini. Because they cannot stand. Wako na hasira mbaya. Demonic hasira. Yeah. So this is why wherever they go, ni matusi na vita. Anyway.
All right.
Thank you, Jay.
Nyagaka, why these constant fights? Why is it even necessary? Why this intolerance? Can't we have sober debate and conversation? Can't you allow your opponent? You don't have to agree. I don't have to agree with Mr. G, but I should allow Mr. G have his say. Why do we have this level of intolerance?
Jakes, that's why I said earlier that let everybody talk in Kenya as anybody else, not destroying anybody, anything, or using bad words. But human energy, vita, and all this, some of us will not even comprehend what that is. So, wacha kila mtu azungumze ile anataka, and it's open. The democracy that we wanted to bring with the Constitution of 2010 should really preach peace, not negative or tribal ideologies and fights that don't make sense at all. So we are calling for peace, not former prime minister anataka kwenda huko Western yasungumuse, let it be. So that is all I can say. And it's not necessarily a good idea kupigana na kufanya hii na hile. That is not what we call for. We call for peace na ule shida aele. Vile nasema 17, some of us will be the first one to congratulate him. Sasa najua kijaluo kidogo, I'll call him in Luo. They came here with my friend Ogwai. Ogwai looked me up and I shook his hands and talked very well to him. Lakini the intolerance is what some of us will not go for. Thank you, Jex.
All right.
Na show ni mzuri na let us
Jex, can I do something?
Yes, please do. Please do.
Okay,
Yes,
you know, I just wanted to address our viewers. You know, in politics, you don't have permanent enemies. And when they see us, tunakorofishana na rebel, wasifikia sisi ni enemies. We are not enemies. We are just friends. We just tumekosa tu kuelewana in ideology. But rebel is my closer friend. He's a good friend. But sometimes when I look at him as a fake friend because of calling us terrorists. But he's just a friend. So msione tunaongea hapa mkafika tunapigana. No. We are friends, and that is how politics is.
And that's what I'm advocating for. That we can disagree because we really truly disagree here. But do we need to use machete? Because that guy with the panga, if angekata mtu jana, really, was it necessary?
No, we don't
to have such good weapons?
We don't have to use machete. That's why I told you it is wrong to use machete. We don't have to fight people. We don't have to fight people. Okay, for me, mimi sipendi Kome kwa sababu hakutaka kusikiza kesi yetu, and I just hate her because sijai heal from the shock that I experienced. Sijai heal.
But I'm sure you wouldn't wish her. Would you wish her harm to that level?
I cannot wish her to die. I will never wish Kome to die, but always she's a hypocrite to me. She is a hypocrite. I don't love her. I don't like her, but I cannot wish her to die. But I will never call her a terrorist, but I will call her hypocrite. But huyu rafiki yangu huyu aacha kutuita terrorist kila wakati. Terrorist is a wrong word. It's a wrong name.
All right. Well, Kenya Rebel, my final question to you guys would be this. At times we see these meetings, zinaanzanga tu hivi, and then eventually when life will be lost, they'll blame someone who was not even in that function, you know. So far, today they blamed Fort Kenya. Yesterday they blamed intolerance to Otuoma. What will happen if this was to happen in maybe what is perceived to be an UDA stronghold? Will they not say this is the president fighting them?
Yes, you saw Oscar Sudi was also terrorizing some people by taking their land and unlawfully. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
So, well, there's some elements in Wasingishu that are also terrorists, but as me are the biggest terrorists. So, because they injure people, they have been killing a lot of it. You know, sometimes I cry when I see people just getting stoned. Just the level of violence.
You have a way of really making Mr. G very angry. Eh?
the big terrorist. He's the bigger terrorist here.
I have to go.
And he's terrorizing my peace. He's terrorizing my peace.
He's terrorizing your peace. With violence.
Nice seeing you. Like Mr. G said, we are friends. We just make it fun. We have to. Sometimes we pack our temperature here in the Duke over. Say hi to Mnyagaka. Tutaonana kesho.
All right. Okay. Your closing remarks, even as you leave? Or shall I leave? Your closing remarks, Mr. G?
My closing remarks, I love my viewers. I love you guys. Continue subscribing to our Africa 24, and I think you'll have something good. Hiyo mambo mengine tunaongea, hiyo ni siasa yetu, tunapiga kelele, msiweke kwa roho. Ujue kuna mkora mmoja kule Wasingisho alituambia usiweke siasa kwa roho, na ni mkora kweli, kwa sababu aliibia watoto wa shule pesa. So ukiweka kwa roho utaumia sana. For us tumeumia mpaka sasa tumeshindwa kuheal kwa sababu tuliweka kwa roho. So you guys, our viewers, msiweke kwa roho sana hii maneno.
All right. Penyagaka. Penyagaka, your closing remarks. All right. I seem to be having a challenge, but thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We have another great one happening, show happening in the morning from 9 a.m. Please tune in to that. We'll be looking at a more interesting news making headlines and another interesting topic. So tune in at 9 a.m. Kenyan time. I don't know what time that will be in your country, but in Kenya itakuwa 9 a.m. So kindly subscribe to Africa 24 and follow all the dramas. You have seen, hey, hii show sometimes zinakuanga quite intriguing, but zaidi ya yote tunapenda jinsi ambavyo watu wana participate. It's not that we love violence or we advocate for it, but way it happens, eh? And it's not really violence. It's people who seem not to agree, but they disagree respectively, but are very close friends. Hapa nje, hapa nyuma ya tent, hey, you may be surprised they are best of friends. So let's tune in tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. East African time and have another great one. I'm your host, as usual, Jex, the moderator. We will have another one, great one like this one, tomorrow morning and equally tomorrow evening from 10 p.m. See you. God bless you. Have a fantastic, fantastic evening.
Tunasonga mbele watu wote wa Jamhuri Kenya yetu. Tunasonga mbele watu wote wa Jamhuri Kenya yetu. Haya sisi sote wananchi tushangilie. Eko Jamhuri, eko Jamhuri, sote eko Jamhuri Kenya yetu yaenda mbele. Eko Jamhuri, sote eko Jamhuri, eko Jamhuri Kenya yetu yaenda mbele. Mwaka wa 60 umefika, tangu Kenya iwe huru. Mwaka wa 60 umefika, tangu Kenya iwe huru. Haya sisi sote wananchi tushangilie. Eko Jamhuri, eko Jamhuri, sote eko Jamhuri Kenya yetu yaenda mbele. Eko Jamhuri, sote eko Jamhuri, eko Jamhuri Kenya yetu yaenda mbele. Kweli twaenda mbio, Kenya yaenda mbele. Kwa elimu twaenda mbele, matibabuni twaenda mbele, viwandani twaenda mbele, na mashambani twaenda mbele. Eko Jamhuri, sote eko Jamhuri, eko Jamhuri Kenya yetu yaenda mbele. Eko Jamhuri, eko Jamhuri, sote eko Jamhuri Kenya yetu yaenda mbele. Tunajivunia Kenya nchi yetu, kweli yapendeza, kweli yavutia. Tunajivunia Kenya nchi yetu, kweli yapendeza, kweli yavutia. Kenya nchi yangu nitaitoloza, nitailinda maishani mwangu. Kenya nchi yangu nitaitoloza, nitailinda maishani mwangu. Ziwa la Victoria linaunganisha Kenya na Uganda, Kenya na Tanzania. Fika Mombasa, mito wa bahari, ogelea maji, jua tamu kuota. Kenya nchi yangu nitaitoloza, nitailinda maishani mwangu. Kenya nchi yangu nitaitoloza, nitailinda maishani mwangu.
PPMC Production.
Tushangilie Kenya